That's why we have to deal with your racism. It's out of control. Good afternoon. Welcome to The World's Gone Insane. Let's talk about it. It's a bit of a mouthful, but so am I. Joining me are my usual cohorts. Well, actually, we have a quite lovely packed forum today. We have Jose 101, Zam, Shredder, and Gaz. How you guys doing? Don't really care. Let's get on with it. I'm, of course, Moist Man, and we have a lot of shit to talk about. And I think we will go with one of the most obvious news articles. So we might jump from one area to another today in terms of topics. So we're going to start with the Titan. And I don't mean Thanos. Who, FYI, Thanos just means Dennis in Greek. It doesn't mean death. Thanatos means death. Thanos is just Dennis. So the Marvel's greatest villain was called Dennis. That being said, we are talking about the submarine. That is a libertarian wet dream and is also the poster child of why libertarianism is fucking stupid. And who wants to take the reins on this one?
There's just some
Not
crazy
me.
shit, man. Yeah, that
Okay,
was just
I'll
that
go
was.
for it.
I
Yeah.
would like to add to it, but I can't take the reins.
Okay, all right. So basically, everyone knows about this. Bunch of billionaires pay 250,000 to enter a death tube to go down to see the Titanic. And sadly, a bunch of lives were lost, including, tragically, a 19-year-old kid.
He's
who
the
only-
main one I feel bad for.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he did not want to be there. According to his aunt has spoken to the press and said that he didn't want to be there. He was quite scared to go on the trip. And he agreed to go along effectively because it was a bonding experience for Father's Day with his dad.
Yeah.
Makes that all the more heartbreaking, doesn't it?
Yeah. It for all the memes we have enjoyed, that is the biggest tragedy was the loss of the kid who didn't want to go on this thing. The only positive I could say is that the CEO will no longer be able to cut corners because he was also caught up in the tragedy. And
them corners got cut.
this guy,
Stockton Rush.
This guy was he was libertarianism personified, cut corners, a pox to regulations. I want to do it my way. I know best, despite everyone else who works within the industry, other corporations, other companies that do deep sea diving were telling him, you are skirting all the regulations and safety rules that are in place to stop disasters from happening. And people that have used the service before have said that they just never felt safe doing it. And the hull was not made of steel, which is the recommended material to use when you're doing deep sea diving. It was made out of fucking carbon fiber, which is the same kind of crap you put on a car or a fucking piece of whatever. Absolutely ridiculous. And so sadly, according to the reports, as they went down, the whole thing just imploded. And the only good news is that they didn't suffer. It just happened that would have happened so quick that they wouldn't have suffered. And this should always be a warning to libertarians. This is the main reason I want to talk about this is, one, obviously the tragedy of losing a 19-year-old kid. Two, this is why libertarianism is fucking stupid, because this is the kind of shit that libertarians want. Cut all regulations, let the market dictate and all this kind of shit. We've seen what happens every time that happens. And the fact that the media, the press, and the amount of search and rescue teams that went to look for these 5 people, while 700 people, at least, I don't know how many of them died when a boat sank in Greece.
Estimated about 500 to 600.
500 to 600 people killed in Greece.
It was women and children in the cargo hold.
Yeah, women and children. And
here's what makes it worse, because I don't know if you guys know this. The Coast Guard didn't even tell the general public until yesterday that the thing fucking imploded, because the Coast Guard is supposed to tell the general public, like, hey, this shit imploded, and they didn't even do that.
But
as far as I'm
that's
aware, it's because they only found the debris yesterday.
yeah, the debris surfaced yesterday. That's how they knew.
Okay.
So when they saw
No,
that,
but I heard that the Navy had something ping on their radar regarding that, but they didn't investigate it or
Yeah.
something
well,
along
that
those
ping
lines.
probably would have been the implosion.
Yeah,
It could
That
very well have
noise-
Most
been.
likely.
Would have been the implosion. So either way, there was nothing that could be done. As soon as they found the rear hole and the front bit, they knew that that's it. You're not surviving that. There's just no way. But yeah, look, the migrants that it got coverage here in the UK. It did get
Not
coverage,
much, though.
not much compared to this, and the fact that Channel 5 and God knows how many fucking documentaries and films are probably going to be made about this tragedy. I bet a lot of Hollywood execs were praying that they come out alive so that they can
Yeah.
really milk the shit out of this and make it into a film and all this kind of shit. But the 700 migrants, nothing. No, nothing. Just don't care. Tighten up the borders. Oh, Lord, people in Greece, oh, look at this. It's just a fucking invasion all the time. And it's just like, yeah, well, you keep electing officials that are allowing the Yanks to bomb other countries. So, well done on that.
I mean, when this fishing boat was in trouble in the Mediterranean, it was intercepted by the Greek Coast Guard. Now, they put a line on it to tow it into port. Apparently, at that point, it was already tipping over to the left,
Yep.
and that's when it capsized.
Yep.
Now, the waters in the Mediterranean were very, very easy to access, so there could have been quite a substantial rescue operation that took place, but it took, I don't know how long for them to actually, sound the alert that this boat had capsized.
Yeah, because they're just, if I know their policies, they're just like, whatever, do the bare minimum. If you could save them, great. If not, fuck it, kind of thing. Because
I mean, let's be honest, a lot of these people did not get coverage, one, because they were black, and two, because they were poor. The people who died in the Mediterranean were fleeing from violence, they were fleeing from persecution, they were fleeing from poverty, but they got what, 2-3 minutes coverage in our news reports,
yep,
where we got constant rolling coverage. I don't know about the
Of course,
American
there
news
was
coverage. Obviously, Jose, you'd be the expert on that. But in the UK, our news coverage gave them a couple of minutes a night.
Oh, they've been
Whereas-
talking about this fucking
We-
submarine for like the last week.
Yeah, we got rolling news here and in America about this goddamn submarine because what? A few billionaires were on it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
And the big controversy is like, oh, the Coast Guard didn't tell the general public, but like you guys said, the debris was only found yesterday, so it was one of those "what could you do" situations.
Yeah, and the
There's
public
been people
isn't
trying to
privy to
blame the
everything.
Coast Guard as well. Again, there's been people trying to blame the Coast Guard. Well, no, these were people who went on an unregulated submarine. Now, again, Panny, you obviously are bringing a libertarian issue into this. I would say this is probably more an issue with American safety standards in general.
Yep.
And I'll get into that a little bit later on. But again, these were people who went on a jolly, paid $250,000 to a billionaire, went on a jolly, some jolly little adventure into international waters on an unregulated craft.
And here's the thing, too.
The Coast Guard
Apparently,
are not responsible.
Yeah, and apparently, too, this whole fucking thing, correct me if I'm wrong, was run by like a game controller? That was how they were controlling the fucking ship?
Yeah,
It
but
was a Logitech Xbox controller. And I'll get into that a little later on.
I've got
too,
a submarine
because-
controller right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's pretty standard for how a lot of things operate.
No, not when it comes to submarines. There is
Well,
not
not
a
where-
single
yeah,
commercial
okay,
submarine
that's fair.
or
Not when it
military
comes to
submarine that is
submarines.
operated with a game controller.
It was also like done through Bluetooth. You would want your controller, even if it's a game controller, to be wired to the fucking thing. No Bluetooth bullshit. I want it wired to the fucking device. That way, it's less likely for any fuck ups.
Yeah,
I mean, that submarine looked like something Wile E. Coyote built. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a
the
piece on
A team.
There was a piece on CBS News, and they talked about how MacGyverish that submarine looked. The fact is, there were pipes that looked like they were bits of scaffolding on the outside of it, which were there for buoyancy. The guy pointed out on the Stockton Rush, he pointed out on the inside that the whole thing was controlled with a game controller, some crappy Logitech game controller. And also, he was pointing at bits of it and saying, "Oh, I got this from Camping World. These were off-the-shelf parts."
yeah.
I mean,
He's bragging about it.
It's incredible that this did not happen sooner.
Yeah. And And to be fair, he fired a bunch of employees that brought up safety concerns.
Oh
And
yeah,
he
Mhm.
sued them when they brought up safety concerns and they broke the NDA.
Yep.
So
Yeah, the glass,
the guy
the
was
glass
just
he had in his the glass he had in his capsule for people to look out of, could only maintain its density for until like 1,300 meters. Like they were going down 4,000 meters to see the fucking Titanic. I mean, it wasn't able to maintain its structure after 1,300 meters. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. But what did he expect was going to happen? I mean, it was the incompetence is baffling. And yeah, you're right regarding just like it's a mixture of both Penny and William. What you both said regarding this is a mixture of libertarianism and like when you hear someone like Donald Trump bragging about deregulation all the fucking time, and then these are some of the results of it. It's ridiculous. It really is.
yeah.
And now it's affected rich people. Maybe something will be done, but if it didn't affect rich people, trust me, fuck all will be done.
well
Yeah.
here's
It's
the
been in
thing,
the
right?
news that
Now,
much.
well, here's the thing: the submarine was only successful, I believe, in 1 in 5 missions to actually go to the Titanic. Every 5 missions, it was only successful once. It was again a shoestring budget, as in there was no proper communication system on there. The guidance system, the way they guided that submarine to get there, was they would send text messages from the ship above to say, turn to this area, turn to this area. The CBS News report even had an incident where the submarine was effectively lost for 2.5 hours. They had no clue where the hell they were. Now, again, when I talk about the fact of American safety regulations, now the problem is, in a lot of respects, it's a case of they have to prove that you're not safe first. It's not a case of, like, for example, say, right, in this country, we have some very, very strict regulations when it comes to things like food, when it comes to drugs, when it comes to public
The
transport,
building
when it comes to
industry,
cars,
where I've
the building
worked.
industry.
Yeah.
You have to prove that it's safe first.
Yep.
Yeah.
In America, it's a case of the governmental authorities have to prove that you're not safe before anything can be done. This is big in the supplement industry. So, again, if you were to market a health supplement, this was brought up as well in the movie Bigger, Stronger, Faster. You can put it on the market and it can stay there until the FDA actively proves that your supplement is dangerous. It's the same with, there was Trump was talking about, for example, deregulating the FDA when it came to things like dog food, because he said, "Oh, this is ridiculous, the FDA policing dog food." When actually that very year that he made that statement, the FDA had pulled 19 different dog foods off the shelf because they contained ingredients poisonous to dogs.
Yep.
Now, somebody else who does very, very well out of this kind of regulation is Elon Musk, because you look at Tesla and their autopilot system in their cars. Since 2019, when they introduced those, there's been 17 fatalities and there's been over 700 crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's between
I hate him even
2019
more.
and now. Imagine what would happen if Tesla had to actually publish that. I mean, they've been using their customers effectively as beta testers.
That's exactly what they've been doing. Yeah.
I honestly think if OceanGate had to say they had to put in their disclaimer form that only 1 in 5 of these missions is ever successful, and they also had to put the actual safety record of their craft on those waivers, nobody would have signed them.
Yep.
Or at least they would have thought twice.
They wouldn't have done it. They would have been like, yeah, no, we're not going to do this because it's too much bullshit to get tied up in.
But unfortunately, one of the things OceanGate were able to do was they were able to boast about the fact that, well, there's not been a death in a commercial submarine, in over 35 years. Well, there's a reason there's not been a death in a commercial submarine in over 35 years. Most people who operate a commercial submarine go through the proper channels to get them tested and certified.
Yep.
Which, again, Stockton Rush didn't. He's on record as saying that he thought safety was a waste.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw other aspects in that. For example, naval experts looked at his craft and saw that, hey, wait a minute, there's no carbon scrubbers on there. Now, carbon scrubbers are basically, they're sponges which are designed to absorb carbon dioxide within the craft. It's to, prevent people from effectively getting delirious and also help maintain a level of oxygen in there. A good ratio of oxygen to carbon dioxide. They didn't have that in the craft.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. They'll be just breathing in their own fucking air.
I mean, we're talking
Jesus,
about
yeah.
they're talking about the families of the people who have died being able to sue the company and also the estate of Stockton Rush, and I hope they're successful. Now,
Yeah.
although they did sign liability waivers to say that they accepted that there was a risk of death, they accepted that there was this was an untested and unregulated craft. It was uncertified anyway.
Bloody hell. They
They
signed shit
did.
like that.
It did not say anything about their safety record. They did not clue in any potential customers about the fact that outside agencies had said this craft is not safe. They didn't say that the reason this craft is not certified wasn't because it was experimental, it's because they did not put it through certification because they knew it would fail. A judge is going to look at that. A lawyer is going to have a field day with the company. And I hope the families of the people who Stockton Rush has effectively killed through corporate manslaughter, they take his estate for every goddamn penny.
Yeah, I hope so too. Gary?
Yeah.
Did you want to say anything?
The whole thing's a flaming tragedy, and because it'd be one thing if it was just this guy and his own, because then it would be his own hubris. But the fact that it's other people, and the thing is that there's been we'll get into this a little bit. There's been 2 reactions to this, which we'll get into in a bit. But
we can get into it now, mate.
Well, there's been the one side, which has been people basically making jokes about it. Like people like Ash Saka has been getting shit because she's been because she's a communist, so she's been pointing out the hubris of rich people basically. And people are getting on there saying how vile her tweet is. But yet then on the other side we've got people like Piers Morgan having some guy, one of people's who was on these ships, his friend on it, and calling this guy a hero because he was literally saying that this was a salvage operation. Of as far as I know, this was not a salvage operation. This was basically just exploration. This was just
it was not a salvage operation. Where the fuck did he get that from?
No, it wasn't.
No,
Again,
it was
not.
this was purely tourism. They weren't to take anything from the Titanic.
Yeah.
No, this is what Piers Morgan said, not me.
Yeah,
I know that. Yeah,
no. But
we're attacking the person that said
pointing
that.
out. We're pointing out the fact this was not in any way a salvage operation. They weren't to touch anything that's in the Titanic.
Yeah, but I mean, the reaction from the media has been the usual shit. Oh, won't somebody please think of the billionaires? And
there's been a lot of simps out there too. I mean, there's a lot of simps been trying to basically say that, the billionaires who think they think billionaires who free market capitalism should go unchecked even after a disaster like this. So one of the things they pointed out, some of them pointed out, was that the drones that the US military uses are controlled by Xbox controllers. Now that's true. The pilots who operate those drones remotely, they do use Xbox 360 controllers. But here's the thing. 1, a drone is designed to be produced as cheaply as possible for mass production for the military. 2, a drone is unmanned. 3, a drone is in constant contact with satellites, and it's also got fail-safes in place. So if it does lose contact communication, it remains in the sky. It doesn't immediately crash into the ground or into the sea and warrant an international rescue operation.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, this argument people were making was ridiculous. You can't compare the fact, you can't compare a drone, which is something which is unmanned, to a fucking, a shitty little capsule that is taking several people going, into the ocean. It's chalk and cheese night and fucking day. It's ridiculous.
And people were also pointing out, James Cameron goes on all these expeditions. Well, James Cameron spends an absolute goddamn fortune on his submarines.
I'm glad you mentioned
his submarines. He's got a fleet of submarines, which he said cost him an average of about $3 million a piece. Now, to put this into perspective, the Deep Sea Challenge, the one where he got the furthest down of any other human being in a submarine. Now, that submarine cost him $10 million. He had to have custom components built for it that had never been put on any other kind of submarine before. That submarine is in a museum, and it's also being studied so that other submarine manufacturers who look into basically making new submarines for scientific expeditions are looking at these parts and seeing what they can put on theirs. Now, That submarine cost him $10 million. The rest of the operation cost him another $10 million because he wanted to make sure he could get up. My God, he thought of safety.
What an
And guess,
idiot.
and guess what? He was the only person on that submarine. So if anything went wrong, it was only James Cameron's life that was at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll just bring this
And
comment
then
in
what-
from Vance. The sub did have 5 redundant systems for bringing it to the surface. Granted, when you push it below the or beyond the limits, you've made those systems useless.
Yep.
Mhm.
Again, I want to point out the CBS piece that was done on this about, again, I think it was about 6 months ago. When they tried to do a dive with the TV news crew initially, now they reached the spot of the Titanic and the waters were too dangerous. The waves were too dangerous to actually launch the submarine. So they decided to go onto a shelf of some kind. I can't remember the name of the shelf, but it was about 80 miles away from the Titanic and do a make good dive, which would allow them to see some quite interesting sights. There was a shark breeding ground there, for example. And but again, they got only 37 feet down and the submarine failed. It had to be returned to the surface.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you think about how messed up that is. It gets 37 feet below water and then suffers a failure to when it has to be returned to the surface.
Yeah. And they're literally telling people too, they're like, don't go down there, because they don't want people going down to see the Titanic, because they're like, most of the time you're probably not making it unless you really follow precautions. But, you know, you live and you learn, I guess. But for some people, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and the funny thing regarding James Cameron as well, like a lot of the things he's done, he's actually helped create the technology for it. Regarding going on, regarding some of his movie making, as well as obviously finding information on Titanic, technology was developed so he could do what he wanted to do, and he has the money to do it, and he wasn't cutting any corners when it came to his own life. Yeah, there's a big
I mean,
difference.
he used Hollywood money to kind of help further research into deep sea diving. He was very clever in how he did it as well. So it's like, plus he's a fucking billionaire anyway. So yeah, it's a lot easier when it's a hobby that you love and you've got a shitload of money and you can put time and effort into it that benefits that sector as a whole. Because trying to get government funds and all of this, because government's like, well, we can't make a profit out of this, is a lot trickier. So with someone like James Cameron, he's been a godsend for deep sea diving.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, there was no hope in this craft, even with the people in this craft anyway. Well, let's say this craft somehow managed to get back to the surface. You do realize they couldn't get out of the thing.
Yep.
They were sealed in from the outside. I mean, this honestly reminded me of like a cow and chicken cartoon. I don't know if you saw the one where Chicken builds a submarine in his back garden made of wood, and before he gets Cow to push it off of a pier, he has her nail him shut.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, Vance, we know about this, but I don't give a shit until it happens. I don't really.
Yeah, until I see it, we're not going to talk about it, because we got to see it before we can talk about it.
The only cage I want
because we're as good as Cameron subs.
Yeah, that's very true. But no, the only cage fight I want to see between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk would be if it's the Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Thunder.
That'd be lovely. Or the lighting fixture suddenly collapses due to poor regulations and.
You mean like a celebrity deathmatch sketch?
Yeah, that'd be lovely. That'd be lovely. But speaking of Elon Musk, we have.
Oh, sorry, Gene. Before we go,
Okay,
I just want to
sorry,
mention a couple of the quotes. Just a couple of the quotes mentioned by Stockton Rush. He says, "I've broken some rules to make this, and I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me." He's also said, if it's picking the rules that you break that are the ones that will add value to others and add value to society.
I've got another one here from him that he told CBS News. He said, there's a limit. At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed. Don't get in your car. Don't do anything. At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really just is a risk-reward question. I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules. Yeah, famous last words.
Yeah, famous last words.
When I started the business, one of the things you'll find that there are other operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I mean, regardless of them being 50-year-old white guys, black guys, whatever, if they're
fucking experts.
Yeah,
they're experts. They're ex-naval military. You know, they know about this shit. These are the people you want involved in your business. You know what I mean?
But even the 25-year-olds he hired were like, this is not safe.
Yeah.
So even the youngsters were like, no, bro, this is fucked.
Yeah, bro, this ain't it.
Yeah.
Don't do this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So
Charlie
that
Kirk
backfired.
Charlie Kirk tried to blame this on wokeness because of that quote about 50.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Of course. Yeah, well, they're always going to find their grifting angle that they want to talk about.
Yeah, but I know not just Charlie Kirk, the Quartering did the same thing as well. So
Yeah, every time something goes wrong, it's like wokeism. You know, they don't even know what the fucking word is. They just attach it to everyone. I saw there was like this some Asian Republican guy who's looking to run for president, and his whole video package was just like using the word wokeness over and over and over again. Woke banking, woke corporations.
Oh, the Indian
woke
one.
this. Yeah. I was just like, fucking hell,
yeah.
they have just peaked. They've got nothing.
Yeah,
They've got nothing to add.
DeSantis says it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Speaking of, I can move on to Elon Musk now, or
yeah,
we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. So with Elon Musk, I think we've hit peak irony, where he turns around on Twitter and agree with, I think it's some prick called Jesse James, who's like, "Stop calling me sis, it's a slur."
Oh god.
And Elon Musk was like, "That's it. Anyone who uses that to describe somebody on Twitter will be banned." But you
It's
can say
a
the N-word,
fucking
and
gender.
You could dead name people, and you can still abuse trans people. It's absolutely fine. But if you attack us, you're getting banned. I mean, talk about devoid of irony.
Was he genuinely being serious? But some people are saying that he was maybe taking the piss a little bit.
No, the guy's on the spectrum.
no,
He was very fucking serious.
Yeah. Okay.
And the thing you need to know about Musk is that there are two angles to this sudden spike in his transphobia. It's either petty vindictiveness because his own daughter who transitioned wants nothing to do with him. So the fact that she's trans has just kind of fueled this anger. Or I know, Kat. Or that that his views on trans people is what strained his relationship with his daughter. I don't know, but knowing Musk and his history, this sudden huge vindictiveness against trans people is definitely related to the fact that his daughter transitioned. But that's not the issue. Is that she wants nothing to do with him because he's a piece of crap. I mean, his relationship with his kids is completely fucking strained anyway. And
he's a purely evil man. He's so fucking evil. Yeah, evil personified.
Yeah, who would have guessed the beneficiary of apartheid South Africa was a massive racist?
I'm shocked. Yeah. I'm absolutely shocked.
And and I hope Cheetah, I hope you're listening. Yeah, this SpaceX, it ain't fucking happening. It genuinely is not fucking. There's no fucking colonizing of Mars, not in our fucking lifetime. It ain't fucking happening. I think people need to stop fucking thinking it's gonna fucking happen. Yeah, he might try the odd little rocket here and there and shit like that, but there's no chance.
He could go if he wants.
There's no chance.
No Cheetah or Musk.
Oh yeah. Musk can go, but I insist that he, has the same kind of deregulation for his shuttle that Stockton Rush had for his sub.
Oh well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, he did fuck up a lot of things from the previous shuttle launch that people
it blew up.
About.
It blew up real good.
Concrete, and it's like it's a success. It's like, the launch pad was really fucked. Like, that's the giveaway.
It successfully blew up.
Yeah, it successfully blew up.
Yep.
A rapid mid-air disassembly, I think they called it.
Yeah, which is fine when something goes wrong. That's what's meant to happen. But something went wrong, and it shouldn't have gone wrong. And the focus shouldn't be on the rocket. It's on all the corners cut for the launch pad.
Mm-hmm.
that caused a lot of fucking damage. Okay, and people want to talk about the rocket successfully blew up, and I'm like, yeah, but the launch pad fucking destroyed. Like the debris flew everywhere. We're talking like over a mile of debris from that fucking launch pad, which shouldn't be happening.
Now, Elon Musk is not the Spider-Man who didn't get the great power, great responsibility speech. If anything, he's a younger Mr. Burns.
Yep. I can
Yeah.
do what I want, when I want. Fuck safety, fuck regulations, fuck rules. I'm Elon. Fuck all y'all. That's his mentality.
Yeah, just these fucking reactionary idiots. Like, and he's so like, if you just watch him on Twitter, he's gone so far to the right. He just reacts to everything, and he's just, because he is on the spectrum, it's just so easy to kind of manipulate him. I don't mean that as a disrespect to people that are, but you can be susceptible to this kind of stuff. I've seen it firsthand. And look how far gone he is, to the point where he just doesn't understand the irony of saying we're going to ban you if you call us cisgender. It's like, but that's just a term used to kind of help identify, instead of saying normal people or heteronormative, which is not fair on the trans community, we have the cis.
It's like how you describe straight, heterosexual people as straight, and homosexual people as gay.
Yeah.
Our defense space is defending Musk, dude. It's not happening. You know what I mean? And why would you want to trust this guy? This guy's fucking Teslas are catching on fire. He wants to, he wants to put chip implants into people's brains. I mean, are we serious on that as well?
Well, here's the thing, right? I will defend the whole thing about the brain implants, and this is not. I don't mean as in like, I think Musk is going to be successful. What I mean is there are actually other companies who are developing implants for the brain, and it's to help people, who have suffered things like strokes or who have other disabling conditions where they can't get neurons to go into parts of their body, so that, if they've lost all sensation in an arm.
Wants to be like Johnny. He wants to be like Johnny Mnemonic, doesn't he? He wants to like make your brain into some sort of computer. It's more to do with that than to do with maybe restoring movement in your arm or some shit like that.
There are companies who are working on these kind of implants, and it's designed to basically help people, who are disabled. So right. I'm all in favor of the technology for that, and I support the companies that are, doing the hard work and the research, and not just, killing a bunch of monkeys and expecting that eventually you're going to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, and these companies, look, we've seen the amount of shit that they've done, and look, we're going back since the 90s that the companies have been working with implants and experimented. They've done it with eyes. I saw like
cochlear implants.
Huh?
The cochlear implants for
cochlear implants for deaf people. There was ones where they attached implants to parts of the brain that were causing depression.
Yep.
And you could see at a flip of a switch, it was completely changing their mood and all this kind of stuff. So, and sending neurons and electrical signals to stroke victims and all this kind of stuff.
They've got this one thing for people with cerebral palsy, because I've got cerebral palsy. I've never done it, but they've got this thing where they can implant something like in your brain that'll trigger your like opposite arm that has atrophy to work. So it's amazing.
They've done incredible stuff, but Musk lives on Planet Cuckoo, where he's not giving them a direction. He's just like, I want this, and they're like, well, what's this? It's like, I want to create a super brain. It's just like, well, okay, well, here's 1,000 dead monkeys, and now we're going to start experimenting on humans, and we're back to the fucking American regulations again, where it's just like, okay, well, you know what? I hope 1 billion Musk fans happily volunteer for this.
The hardcore ones.
Well, please do.
Honestly, I think the best thing that has happened is the fact that this has been approved in America for human trials, for the simple reason, if one person dies during this human trial,
it's over. It's over, buddy. Yep.
The whole thing is shut down.
Yeah. And but Musk will get no repercussions from it. I mean, it will shut down, but will he face any jail time? I doubt it. Cheeto says, plus NASA is using SpaceX for a lot of their stuff, so I guess, as long as Elon Musk is still breathing, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Fucked. Yeah, I mean, because everything he touches turns to stone.
Well, it goes back to Bush. Bush cut a
Yeah.
lot of funding for NASA, and because of that, a lot of the stuff suffered, and so the government then steps in, gives a bunch of money to SpaceX. They're picking up the slack, but it's not been economically better giving it to SpaceX than it has been to NASA, because CEOs are going to take that huge chunk of fucking money and all this kind of shit. It's just a snowball effect, sadly. It's the same. We have the same situation that we did with we'll talk about the sea regulations, where Cameron kind of stepped in and has spent a lot of his own money, and people have kind of learned because of that. And instead of companies learning a lot of stuff from NASA doesn't have the funding to do a lot of the stuff it wants to do. And here we are. Bush fucked NASA. Exactly.
Daniel Vance brings up the fact that he says that there are a ton of implant issues that go unreported here in the US. Big business is big business. It can all be buried. That is true, but there are other companies around the world who are working on implants for the human brain, again, to help people who have got cerebral palsy or stroke victims or people who have been suffering epilepsy. And they are in countries where there are strict regulations when it comes to
as to what you can and cannot do.
What you can and can't do. And a lot of them have made leaps and bounds in that technology. They're the ones that I would applaud, and they're the ones that I think are probably going to perfect it before Musk even manages to avoid killing a single monkey.
Yeah, Gads.
Yeah, recently there's been this whole backlash against trans healthcare for youth, where people like Ben Crenshaw and idiots like that have been speaking against it. It's they'll call it experimental, but this stuff that you're talking about sounds even more experimental than that, and yet they're not saying a bloody word about it. It's just ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Sorry, it's one thing that gets me cross.
But that's because they can't weaponize it to cause divide and hatred, so they can further push their own agendas. That's the big glaring difference between implants and trans people. Implants are not a direct threat to humans, but you know what, guys? Give it time, because when people get sick and tired of all the trans hate and all this kind of shit,
it's going to be something else.
When this takes off, they'll push on that. They'll say, "Oh, George Soros is the one doing the implants, and he's a puppet of Musk, and they're going to do it to you while you're sleeping," and all this kind of shit. We've seen you've seen how quick the right can turn something benign and create a whole fucking fear industry out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to Musk on Twitter with the whole thing about banning cis. Now, Musk has lost pretty much his entire Twitter online safety team, so there's a lot more rampant child abuse there.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot more rampant child abuse on Twitter. There's actual fucking grooming going on Twitter nowadays.
How long before one of two things is going to happen? It either goes away or they revamp the entire fucking thing. Because one of the two is going to end up happening.
A couple of years left before it just fucking either Musk sells it or it just implodes in on itself.
Every time I
don't
go
use
on
it anywhere near like I used to.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think I'm on the verge of just getting rid of my fucking Twitter account, because there's all I get, if you look at people that have followed me, it's just all bots. Rampant, just bots.
And you're starting to see people that you don't even fucking follow on your feed either. And I'm like, I don't even fucking follow you. Why are you here?
And it's all right wingers. And it's just piss off.
Yeah, all right wingers. Yeah, I'm just saying, the same motherfuckers.
Plus, the thing is,
I just can't handle it.
And plus, during Pride Month, Elon flaming streamed What Is a Woman? I did allowed Matt Walsh to say stuff like, "It's the most important, the most watched documentary of all time." No, fuck, well, it isn't. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's a fucking grooming cunt anyway.
Views and all this kind of
He's a grooming cunt.
I mean, I'll see if I can find it, because the streaming of What Is a Woman led to several executives resigning at Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
it
did.
That.
Yes.
Yeah. One of them, I think, was the head of their advertising strategy. Basically, their responsibility was to convince advertisers that their brand was safe to advertise on Twitter.
Ha!
And obviously, after the streaming of What Is a Woman, they couldn't justify that anymore, so they quit.
Yeah.
I think it's going to implode on itself. I give it a couple of years. It'll be like Elon will try to sell it. People will be like, "Fuck no, bro," and then it's just going to end up being like MySpace, just kind of ceasing to exist.
But
Oh,
no,
they'll beg
tell
for
you,
government.
I'm still suspended
out.
on Twitter, so. fuck
Yeah,
you,
you're not.
you know.
Trust me when I tell you, you're not missing anything.
You're not missing a fucking thing,
No,
mate.
no. I got suspended for debating Flame Turf, so no, I went with Flame Trad, so don't worry about it.
I found it was in the Associated Press. A top Twitter executive who was responsible for responsible for safety and content moderation left the company, which was just after Elon Musk publicly complained about the platform's handling of posts about transgender topics, and he streamed "What is a Woman." So this was Ella Irwin, who was Twitter's head of trust and safety.
Oh my god!
She stepped down, and again, I think there were 2 other executives that followed her.
Yep. Yeah,
It's going down.
He's losing people hand over fist, and either that, or, he'll just end up bringing in executives that are just fucking far right lunatics anyway.
When he had Ron DeSantis on, I mean, the fuck up there was glorious, but that's also because he fired so many engineers and coders and whatever that it was never going to be a smooth launch in the first place. It was an absolute fucking joke. Like I said, I've never known someone to fuck up so much and still be in the position that he is. It's baffling. It really is. It's absolutely
that's
baffling.
the beauty. That's the beauty with him buying Twitter, was that even a lot of simps got to see what a complete fucking moron he is, and there has been like at least a small percentage of people that be like, "Oh my god, I used to worship this fucking guy." Granted, it's only a small percentage, but it's still something. And now we always have the evidence to say, well, no, what we keep telling you about Elon Musk, here's Twitter and what he did with that. And because there's no government bailout with Twitter, you can see exactly how he operates as a business.
And
Exactly.
Nerdiverse is asking, what is a Matt Walsh? I bet he might be a pedophile. I'm going to just state for the record, I think Matt Walsh is a pedophile. Because he's got an unhealthy fetish. He's got an unhealthy fetish with impregnating 16-year-old girls. No, let's go. Let's say that, Gary, because, well, I will say
allegedly.
that on record. No,
because
Matt Walsh has routinely gone on record. Now, I will say this for 2 reasons. Matt Walsh has routinely gone on record on his show and talked about his desire, well, his fetish, I will say, to impregnating 16-year-old girls. 16 is a minor where Matt Walsh is. Matt Walsh, by the way, is a 37-year-old man.
Yeah.
So the other reason I will bring this up is because in that piece of shit movie he does called What is a Woman, in Matt Walsh's logic, he thinks automatically if you were born with male genitalia, you are male, you are a boy. If you were born with female genitalia, you are a female, you are a woman. That's it. No ifs, no buts. Now, Matt Walsh shows a transgender boy, someone who's transitioned from female to male, a teenager, I think only about 15 years old, topless, and he says basically outright, this is a woman. Now, under America's laws, if that is even true, Matt Walsh is guilty of basically creating child pornography.
Yeah. Well, he should feel lucky that it's not considered that, because if it was, he'd be fucked.
Yeah, it'd be over.
Yeah, if that boy was considered a girl, as Matt Walsh claims, Matt Walsh would be facing prosecution for child pornography.
Yeah, and I'd be an advocate for putting him in prison for the rest of his life. I'd be like, I don't care.
You need to go and register as well. But the thing is, it's like the obsession with these right-wing idiots over trans people is just it's disturbing. It's like they're so invested in every fucking aspect of their lives. Like, why do you care? Did you just accidentally beat your meat off, or do you love beating your meat off to trans people and you feel guilty about it? So this is your way of kind of deflecting, which is normally the case.
It's the red states though, Ginger. Like they showed some person showed like an image of where most trans porn is watched in America, and it's the red states that watch it the most.
Of course.
You know, not surprising, and they probably hate themselves for it after they shoot their load.
Yeah.
So and so they went during the day they're shitting on them, and during the night they're wanking to them.
Yeah, it's like it reminds me of that there's this Doge meme where You know, you got the big beefy like dog, and he's just like, I'm gonna beat my mate. I'm gonna come 3-4 times to the worst kind of porn, and it's like after 3 strokes and you've blown your load, get this sinful filth off my screen. And that's basically them. They're like, they get all amped up, beat off to like transsexual porn, and then as soon as it's done, it's like, oh god, I wish I hadn't have done that.
And then beating
Time to lash out.
And beating themselves and probably putting themselves in a little container to punish themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All this sort of stuff.
And but sadly, like as fun as it is to sit there and talk about, these people, so the 400 laws have been put to the floor in America to do with LGBT.
Land of the free,
in the last couple of years alone.
Mhm.
Yeah, and 60 of those
anti-big
passed.
government.
Yeah, the anti-big government people sure are fucking big on you know, it's I don't want big government for me, but I want big government for thee. Because I, as a right winger, see the thing that you got to understand: right wingers are obsessed with control. They cannot. It's offensive to these people that you have a say in your life that differs to them, and that you're not hero worshiping the same people they are hero worshiping, or those people. And they literally have this obsession. So if we turn around and say today, okay, you know what, we're going to create a platform purely for left wing. If you're right wing, you're not allowed on the platform, you're getting banned. They would lose their fucking mind. They would do everything to destroy that platform. Meanwhile, you've got all shit like Rumble and what's that one that
fucking Truth Social,
all this kind of shit, which is very much right wingers. And people on the left are like, okay, we don't care.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck. Yeah, do what you do. Yep.
You know, this is a space for women only. What the fuck do you mean women only? This is disgusting. This is attack against men. You know, this is always the same fucking shit. Always. It's just ridiculous.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And like they don't believe in freedom. They generally don't, because anybody who's different to them, they're not allowed to be free. They have to be fucking reprimanded for some sort of shit. You know what I mean? And so they genuinely don't believe in freedom, which is ridiculous. But I wish they would stop going on about freedom all the fucking time, because it's a fallacy.
It's a complete fallacy. Yeah. Okay. So just well, we can move on. Shredder, if you want to talk about the kind of rights reaction to Pride Month as well.
I mean, I'm going to see if I can find the clip from Man Bear Pig to send you.
Yes.
But I'll send it to you in the link. I'll send it to you in a link, and you can bring it up, because you know probably more of what you're doing with this than I do. So,
well, Zam, you're right to take that, because you can handle.
I'll put it in the contributor chat.
Yeah,
but
put it in the
the reaction to the right wing to Pride Month has been with open hostility. I mean, I think we all know that. We all saw it coming.
Yes, I mean,
they couldn't fucking wait.
They couldn't wait to start attacking gay people. They couldn't wait.
Right.
Trans was the gateway.
Lawrence Fox, for example. Now, somebody on this podcast has defended Lawrence Fox in the past and said he's not racist, he's not a transphobe, he's not a homophobe, etc. Now, Lawrence Fox just recently spent his Father's Day pissed in his back garden alone and trying to burn pride flags, which he failed miserably at.
That was beautiful.
You finally saw the clip of that, yeah.
I saw the clip, and also that stupid anti-pride shirt that looks like a pride shirt.
Yeah, so he got some pride. He got some bunting with pride flags on him. Tried to set fire to it and called Pride a month celebrating the mutilation of children. And he's gone completely fucking unhinged. On the 5th of June, I actually I saw a tweet from him where he said, "I've made a deal with myself. If I walk into a shop or supermarket next month and I see so much as a whisper of that shitty flag, I'm going to walk out and spend my money elsewhere. I'm done with the normalization of child sacrifice and mutilation. Fuck pride." So I saw that. I thought this
totally normal.
Did somebody make this up? And no, it turns out that tweet from him was real. So I actually went through like a past few days, the first actually 4 days of Pride, to see what he posted about it. So on June 1st, he tweets about how he could self-ID as a squirrel. That was in response to the Northwest Leicester Conservative Party, who were supporting trans people. Yep. Oh yeah, we'll get into that whole self-IDing as an animal because that has become a story here in the UK too now, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
But he changed his Twitter bio to describe himself as a trans lesbian of color. He retweeted a quote from himself to Turning Point UK that reads, "Pride Month is the greatest crime against the rainbow since creation." He tweeted about how trans people are mentally ill and he refuses to accommodate mutilating the bodies of the vulnerable. That's a direct quote from him. He quote tweets transphobia from Andrew Bridgen, the guy who was kicked out of the Tory party for comparing, the COVID vaccination to the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And then he adds, "Amen to that, LGB without the T." He condemned Waitrose, which is quite ironic because one of his nicknames on Twitter is Waitrose Tommy Robinson. But he condemned Waitrose for supporting Pride and changing their logo to rainbow colours, and he announced that he'll now be shopping at Aldi instead. The quote from him was, "All people want is to buy dinner, go home and feed the family this month. I will be shopping at Aldi UK." Now, that's quite ironic. He also said in the same quote, as they seem not to have fallen down the migraine flag virtue hole, Waitrose, you should just sell food. Now, again, I thought that one was hilariously fucking funny because guess what Aldi does?
They do Pride Month too.
Aldi, last year, they launched transition guides for employees. These were to support transgender workers who are in the process of or have already transitioned. They also did sponsor several Pride event floats.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's shopping at another supermarket that not only supports Pride but is supporting the trans workers.
Corporations are all in on the Pride, man. And then
I mean, I've got my issues with corporations kind of latching onto Pride anyway, but the dampener on that reaction is because so many people are melting down over it.
I really can't knock Aldi for actually having transition guides to give to their colleagues to say, look, this is how you support your trans co-workers.
No,
we're talking European businesses here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's fantastic. But Fox News, like the business model behind the cameras is extremely inclusive, ironically. There was a whole bunch of stuff that got leaked out that basically is saying, look, they respect if people want to be identified as whatever gender they want to be, and rules with gay employees and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, as businesses, they're adhering to the kind of suggestions and guidelines.
I'm not surprised by this, Ginger.
I'm not.
We saw the COVID guidelines they had, during the height of COVID, where everyone had to be fucking tested and those mask mandates and vaccinated and all of this shit. So there's no surprise that they're going down this route too. I mean, they're based in New York, for fuck's sake. Yeah. So I'm not surprised whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, I just want you all to keep in mind that all that stuff from Lawrence Fox that I've just quoted, by the way, that was just on day one of Pride.
Oh my God! There's more.
Well, I'm not gonna go into like the whole month. But this is what I recorded like the first 4 days of Pride that he'd been posting. So June 2nd, there was not a lot regarding Pride, but he spent a good portion of the day retweeting the Daily Wire and sharing Matt Walsh's piece of shit movie.
It's just not normal.
The rest of the day, I mean, he was supporting the racist David Vance. He was condemning the police for stopping someone from assaulting Just Stop Oil protesters. And he was retweeting vaccine conspiracies from Andrew Bridgen.
Yeah.
June the 3rd, he managed to include both racism and transphobia in a tweet about the FA Cup final. The quote from him is,
please read it.
Here's the tweet. "It's amazing how beautiful the game is again once they stopped kneeling to race-baiting Ponzi schemes and ditched the child sacrifice rainbow armbands. Sport should not be political. It should be beautiful. So good to be able to watch it again without feeling nauseous."
Sports shouldn't be political, but they're sitting there fucking creaming their knickers over "God Save the King."
Yeah.
Like, every time that's fucking played.
Sorry, I just want to mention that regarding when they go on about child mutilation and stuff, do they ever try to condemn circumcision? Because that's a big deal.
No, they don't even think about it.
I mean, yeah.
No, because they would also be condemning not just Jews and Muslims, but they would also be condemning American conservatives too, because American children, American young boys get circumcised as a cosmetic procedure over there.
Yeah.
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 They're totally fine with that, aren't they? Yeah.
But yeah, on the same day, he retweeted a video from Turning Point UK. It was captioned "The correct way to celebrate Pride Month." Now, the video was of Jamie Vardy at Leicester slide tackling a corner flag with a rainbow on it during a goal celebration. Now, what neither Lawrence Fox or Turning Point UK would like people to remember is that not only did Jamie Vardy replace the corner flag once he'd knocked it out, but later on he autographed it and he gave it to the Leicester LGBT plus supporters group Fox's Pride. And there was a message written on it that said, "Keep up the good work."
Huh,
And Jamie
They
Vardy
left
has
that
spoken regularly, saying he's absolutely disgusted with people that share that clip just to promote homophobia.
Yeah.
He threw pedophilia into a tweet about Pride Month that same day.
Well, that's no surprise.
Yeah, he said, "This Pride Month, I'm proud to be British. I'm proud of our language. I'm proud of our heritage. I'm proud of our culture. I'm proud of our common law. I couldn't give a tiny toss who you have sex with. Just keep your hands off the kids, though. That's just sick."
God, they say that all the time.
Well,
God.
I mean, I'm hoping he's aiming that at his own fucking Tory party that he supports, because that's where all
that's
the
the thing.
nonsense
Lawrence
are.
Fox doesn't support the Tory party. That's why he set up his own.
Oh well, there you go.
That's why Andrew Bridgens sits as his only MP.
He's still a conservative, regardless. But like these same motherfuckers have
he's a conservative, but he's like an extreme, like Enoch Powell wing of the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
These
He
motherfuckers
also
have no
on that same
problem with like cheerleading, for instance. You know what I mean, with these girls shaking their fucking, gyrating their fucking asses in your faces, or maybe like you see those stories of kids going to Hooters. No problem with that. You know what I mean? It's proper sexualizing right there in front of children. They don't give a flying fuck. You know?
Yeah. But
I'm going to ask something now that maybe you guys will like. Is that, do you think this is a grift?
Of
Lawrence
course.
Fox? No, I think he's batshit.
He's just a fucking piece of shit.
I guess with him, but sometimes I think things can start as a grift, but then they get lost in their grift, and then they end up becoming, as you said, batshit crazy or something like that.
Yeah, just look at Jimmy Dore. He got completely lost in his own grift and became batshit fucking crazy.
It's also like Joe Rogan with the whole vaccine thing.
Oh my god, Joe Rogan,
Joe Rogan having RFK Jr. on there, and basically espousing anti-vax propaganda, forgetting the fact that the person that he's challenged to have on his show to debate, RFK Jr., he had him on 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
And was completely supportive of vaccination.
Yeah,
I can't stand Joe Rogan, man.
It's like how Tim Pool, he's not the same person he was like 5-6 years ago, because he's had so many white nationalists on there. He's got more and more extreme.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Tim Pool already started off right wing, but he basically went more and more to the far right.
Yeah,
it's like. Because I don't know about you lot, but like the ones that really do my head in are the ones who go, "I was left wing and now I've become right wing." That's not how political change happens.
No, but no,
it can happen, but a lot of those people that are doing it are just grifters.
Yeah, Gary, as Ginger said, they're grifters because people like Blair White and stuff like that. They kind of realize, I need to change. Candace Owens is another one. Because that's where the fucking money is. There's no money to be made on the left, hardly any. But if you go to the right, my God, you get you can earn a lot of money. You'll get lots of donors and stuff like that.
Sell your soul. Sell your soul.
But let's also be clear. Like a lot of these people are just funded by billionaires who want their agenda pushed. If they went it alone, they wouldn't be making money. Like a lot of these businesses, like the Blaze and all this kind of stuff, are not making money. They're propped up by billionaires. I mean, if we look at, like, the Telegraph is on the verge of bankruptcy over here. The Sun is operating at 60 to 70 million pound loss every year, and it's just being propped up by Rupert Murdoch to help push his propaganda. So. Yeah, a lot of legacy media is just not making money. We're seeing the collapse of CNN, Fox, since getting rid of what's his tits, is now getting beaten in the ratings by MSNBC and all this kind of shit. So it really is just
Well, they're losing that to other news networks,
right
wing ones.
Yeah.
which are more nuts than they are. You know what I mean? We just want to
Yeah,
go with
and
propaganda full on.
those ones, like your Newsmaxes and all this Daily Wires and all this kind of shit, they're not making as much profit as people think. They're literally being funded by fucking billionaire right wingers to help keep pushing the narrative.
So
I don't-
a couple of sorry, just a thing regarding anti-furry propaganda. They have actually started going after the furries, the right wing. You know what I mean? And making them out to be.
Oh, yeah,
I've seen that already on Fox News.
There was that despicable story that's been doing the rounds, and it just will not die, no matter how much it's been debunked, about litter boxes in classrooms or in school
Oh
bathrooms.
yeah. Joe Rogan fell for that, and now everyone's fallen for that.
Yeah, now they've got the British version of it.
Or for people who identify as cats. Now, in America, there are some schools that have cat litter in supplies, but here's the thing: it's nothing to do with because people identify as cats or identify as furries. They're not putting them out in the litter boxes for people to use in the bathrooms or in the classrooms. What they are is a number of schools which are in the same area as Columbine have got what's called go buckets, and they are for if there's an active school shooter. So these go buckets, they contain kitty litter, and the reason it's there is because if kids are locked in that classroom for a long period of time, no access to a bathroom,
they gotta go.
have that there as an emergency.
Yep,
that's what it's there for. Now, I would love for them to actually cover that. And
some of it was started as a joke as well, wasn't it? Though
no, that's how the story
got
it. That's how the story went about. The story was an absolute fucking hoax. But again, there are legitimately schools out there that have got kitty litter in go buckets, and it's there for, again, if people have to use a bathroom in an active school shooting scenario. I would love for the press to cover that and say how fucked up that is.
Yeah.
That that you are preparing for active school shooters rather than legislating to maybe get the guns out of the hands of fucking dangerous psychopaths.
Thank you for saying that. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, they completely skirt the fact that, hello, those are there because of the fucking insane shootings going on. And that part, you're conveniently ignoring it, and you're trying to twist the narrative that it's a woke thing. Rather than, no, it's there because your country is batshit crazy, full of nutters with guns.
Well, Ginger, I'm glad you brought the woke thing up because here's the.
Right, I'm going to put the context out there for this clip. This is the clip I've sent. Now,
how young he looks.
We have said before that pretty much when it comes to the right wing, every accusation is pretty much a confession. Now, Jeremy Hambley, aka the Quartering, or as I prefer to call him, Manbearpig, he put out this fake story. There was a trans streamer called Keffels who had been swatted. And the fake story that Jeremy put out was that Keffels had child pornography on her computer. This was completely untrue. There was no source for it. He just threw it out there. Now, the thing is, Lance from the Surfs, he pulled up and spotlighted this video here. Jeremy used to have a channel called Be Your Own Tech. He was a computer technician. And this video, well, he decides to put out a PSA because a customer brought in a computer that contained child pornography. If you want to play the clip now?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's go for it.
I've seen this clip, by the way. Let's do it. Oh, sorry. 1 second. 1 second. Where's the volume? All right.
This is not me having found an old clip of him. This is from the actual channel, Be Your Own IT, and this channel and this video is still up.
It's more of a public service announcement than anything else. At the office this week, we had a situation where one of the techs came across some pictures on a customer's computer that were of the child pornography variety. I don't really know if there's any tech way to put that, but the customer was reported and subsequently arrested, I believe, is last that I heard. But this video isn't to protect child perverts or anything like that. It's more about just letting people know that techs look at files on your computer when you take it in. There's been a couple, widely publicized cases where
pause it a second.
Best Buy employees were caught, taking people.
Pause it a quick second. Yeah, this is definitely not to protect pedophiles. He was suddenly motivated though to make this video after a customer
Yeah, I was
brought in a
thinking that.
computer
Yeah.
full of child pornography.
I was thinking that, yeah.
If
Right,
anything,
can I
if you
ask-
wanted to
can I
protect
just-
children,
can I
you
ask a
wouldn't
question?
highlight it.
Right. If it isn't for child pornography, why are you scared about people looking at your files anyway? But anyway, continue.
Hey, no,
Yeah,
it's
he's a hypocrite.
look, there's legitimate issues if you don't want people, looking up certain files. Let's say, for example, you have got a video of you and your partner having sex. You don't want, that's a private video. You don't want other people seeing.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
hide
It's a
that.
violation.
But don't fucking say this is a PSA and it was triggered by the fact that somebody brought a computer full of child pornography in.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, go for it.
People's MP3s and porn videos and this and that. That's obviously a little bit more serious. Obviously, like personal information is even more serious. However, I've never known a tech in my life that ever took anything other than like videos or music off computers. But the point of this video is just to remind people that as techs, we read your emails, so to speak. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it happens. So if you have things that you don't want computer techs to see, you should delete them or rename them.
To recap, what Jeremy is saying here, because at the very start of this video, he said this is a PSA. This is a public service announcement. And he decided to make this because someone at his work brought in a computer and they found child porn on that computer. And based on them finding child porn on the computer, they then reported that person to the police. And so then he was like, well, you know what? I got to make a video about this. And this video is not, of course, to protect, child predators or pedophiles or anything. But I do now need to make a video and tell you, hey, by the way, we look at your shit. You should probably delete it. Probably get rid of it.
Don't put yours and your wife's honeymoon video in a folder called honeymoon video, where the tech will very clearly, very obviously look at what's going on in there, because who wouldn't? I mean, it's just curiosity. But even away from
Who would? Is Jeremy
Yeah,
going to admit at some point that working as a tech computer repairman, he did that?
porn and stuff like that, but pictures
definitely
and all
did.
sorts of stuff like that, they get looked at a lot. When I was younger, I used to do it a lot too. Now I'm
Oh,
just
there you
way
go.
too busy.
When I was younger.
Stop
No.
it! Stop!
Keep that in mind.
Jesus
you take your
fucking
computer into
Christ.
Best Buy, you take it into
Pause-
your
pause
computer
that,
repair
pause.
shop.
Stop it!
Nah,
Pause it. Okay, how to tell on yourself 101. That's what that motherfucker just did. That's what that motherfucker just did right there. He told on his motherfucking self.
Now, I know people who work in tech support, and no, they don't go rifling through your fucking files because there's certain things as customer privacy. And so,
Yeah, it's a
right,
gross
also-
violation.
right now, I'd also like to point out my sister at one point worked for EE, and she used to service people's phones. And on a couple of occasions, yes, she has found child pornography on there, or she has found links to child pornography websites. She fucking reported it to the police. She didn't issue a PSA saying, hey, by the way, if you want to
Delete
hide your
that shit.
files, here's how to delete it off your phone.
Lass.
Yeah.
Well done to her.
My phone is fucking full of transport, and I'll be honest with you, I got so much of it. It's unbelievable. It's overflowing. I've
Yeah.
got so many tabs. I've got so many fucking tabs I'd like to go back to. So
but you're not bashing trans people after you have that wank, are you? So
No, you're just bashing off to trans people. That's all.
They've been my recent go-to when it comes to my desire to fuck somebody when I go on one of my prostitution hunts.
Hey,
I
Zan,
do a little-
you are just providing a wonderful service, and your load is fully appreciated. That's all I can
Oh
say.
yeah, man.
I salute you. You patriotic duty.
The
Namaste,
The
and all of that.
motherfucker told on his motherfucking self. That is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh,
I
it's
love-
not his first time. Oh, you mean Jeremy did? Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
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 That's what makes it so funny and so sad at the same time.
feel free to resume.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's go.
Just gonna grab it.
You have stuff on there that you don't want them to see or take, you should probably stash it away somewhere a little bit. I'm not just speaking of people to hide things that are illegal or anything like that, but just general things. If you have pictures of
Oh, so you're not just speaking to pedophiles. This is for everybody. Oh, that's nice. It's inclusive, not just for the pedos. Everyone's included in this.
you and your family that you don't want text to look at, maybe change the folder name when you take it in if you can, or I'm not condoning it. I don't think it's necessarily right. I believe it's an invasion of privacy.
Don't name things as
But,
child.
That's really
as
why
CP.
I don't really do it anymore. But I certainly did back in the day. And, there's not a tech in the business out there right now that doesn't do it.
Oh my god!
So also,
I know plenty of
Hold
techs
on,
that don't
hold on.
fucking do it.
No, did Jeremy, basically incriminate himself that he watches child porn?
Yeah, he told on himself.
Yeah,
Well,
he
not,
did.
not quite, but he's basically saying that
Not
he doesn't look through customers' files anymore. He doesn't take things off of customers' computers.
Yep.
Again, I know several technicians who don't do that kind of thing because they're busy working on other shit for one, and also there is such a thing as customer privacy.
Yeah.
And as you say, there's 50,000 fucking computers to look at. You're not going to sit there sifting through people's stuff unless you are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And a nosy bugger. It's as simple as that.
Like up.
to submit into evidence.
Oh, sorry.
To submit
Wait.
into evidence.
Okay. What the hell?
What
Oh,
the fuck?
Sorry.
What
To submit into evidence.
Okay.
Oh, you're
What the
Sorry.
Oh, go on. Bro, what the hell did you do?
I've hidden it because it's,
right, but
we'll
yeah,
leave
we
it there.
get the
It's
point
fine.
at least. Yeah, we
Mhm.
get the point at least. But this
What
is the
the
kind of
hell? What was
hypocritical
that?
bullshit. And just for the record, by the way, as soon as that was spotlighted, that Man Bear Pig was doing a PSA, effectively to alert pedophiles like, hey, hide your CP before you take it in to.
Didn't his channel get taken down or some shit because of that? Or
He
something
took
like
the
that
entire.
happened?
He took the channel down.
Okay, I figured that's what it was because I'm like, I thought he did.
Yeah, he took
Yeah.
that entire fucking channel down because he was ashamed of that.
Mm.
Yeah, this is
Oh.
for me. This incriminates himself because he's basically telling his fellow pedophiles, how to
Yeah,
cover
don't
it-
do
cover
this.
it.
Don't do
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So as far as I'm concerned, he's no different to the people who have child porn on their devices.
Oh, totally. I mean, you would not defend somebody who's got a child porn on the device, and I certainly would not be. Let's say, for example, again, if I was a computer technician, somebody brought in a computer and it was riddled full of child porn. No, my first response is not going to be to come onto a stream or go onto look into a camera and say, "Hey, hide your files before you take them in."
No, your first job is just download all of this and put it on.
Oh, God.
Fucking, you know he did.
What is it about the bald head, the beard, and the glasses? That screams pedophile.
I don't know, dude.
Mhm.
You know,
What is it
It's-
about
it's
this look
just-
that children find sexy?
I don't know. Just I'll ask the kids in my basement. See what they say. Oh my god.
But yeah, he's got the fucking nerve to call people groomers and pedophiles, and yet then he does. It turns out, oh, by the way, here's a PSA for all you pedophiles out there: hide your files.
How to hide your files? Yeah. Pedophiles, hide your files. Fucking
Roundkeeper Willie vibe. Yeah, you're damn right.
yeah, that's it. Shh, you want to get sued?
Willie
but-
hears you. Willie don't care.
Wow, your accent was really good, William.
Yeah, he nailed it. He nailed that one.
Almost as if you were Scottish. Okay, so speaking of abhorrible human beings, we're moving on to Andrew Taint, and he's been arrested and formally charged, and down he goes.
Yeah, we brought this up on NerdTube. Myself and Zam did a stream about this, but I also just want to point out we were not certain at the time what was going to happen, if he was going to be returned to prison or remain under house arrest. But his house arrest has been extended by another 30 days.
Mm.
Yeah, and the trial could go on for years as well. We don't know how long it is, but do go watch Zam and Shredder's video. It's fucking awesome. I sat through the whole thing because I was just enthralled by it. So yeah, we just wanted to highlight he's been arrested and formally charged.
Yep.
He's had his house arrest extended, and go watch the video on our channel. There's nothing
So-
more to really add. We don't
No,
have to.
Well, we can make fun of the simps.
Well, yeah, it's a simple.
I
But,
mean, yeah.
I've been watching like various different YouTube channels to see how they what their opinions are on it, and the ones who defend him say that they've got nothing on him, and this is just a witch hunt and all of that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
the Trump
And
defense.
Yeah,
It's
they've got nothing
he's-
on him except all those confessions in his videos.
It's a miscarriage of
It-
justice. Blah, 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 blah.
It is basically Donald Trump 2.0. It's the young, it's like Donald Trump for the new generation. And this is the thing when you worship somebody, genuinely worship somebody, the way Trump fans worship Donald Trump, and I think worshiping a politician is stupid. And worshiping anybody is stupid because people let you down all the fucking time. And
Cult
Andrew
of
Tate-
personality thing that people just get
Yeah.
drawn into, and it's just so stupid. It's like
I have admiration, but even when I have admiration, it is just strictly that because I always know that at some point this person I admire could do something that would put me off them, But to worship somebody, to truly, worship somebody is another level that I personally can't comprehend.
especially ones that offer you, they don't offer you anything. Like people always like they like to bring up, say like, oh, the Corbynistas and all this kind of stuff. It's like, well, it's not him we worship. It's the fact
It's
that
the
the
policies.
policies, it's the fucking
Yeah.
policies that are solid to the point where even economists were like, yeah. So that's what people get on board with. It could be literally be a fucking mutilated gibbon in a bloody field, butt naked, licking its old ass. If it's posting the same policies, people are going to get behind that fucking gibbon. So, but the people that these idiots are worshipping, they don't care about you. You're worshipping hollow people.
Yeah,
they just want to milk you.
Exactly. Yeah, they want what you can offer them and take advantage of them, and then pretend that they give a shit about you. Someone like Donald Trump, do you think he'll have any of these fucking moonshine creating hicks? Yeah, ever anywhere near Mar-a-Lago or within Mar? No fucking chance,
God,
man.
no.
You think Andrew Tate would invite one of these fucking one of these fucking simps into his fucking home? There's no fucking chance.
Maybe if you could get $5 off of them, and then kick them out immediately afterwards, that's probably the as close as you would go.
Absolutely,
Gary.
Yeah, but you got. I was just going to say, well, the thing is that if you're somebody who has issues making connections with people, mainly of the female gender, what he is saying and doing is going to be very enticing for you because he's saying it's somebody else's fault, it's not yours, and that can be very enticing for people.
Yeah, insulism 101. Blame everyone else, but
but the thing is that it's a very enticing mindset to get into because the thing is that here's a guy who has all the cash, who has all the girls, who has everything that you want to be, and he's saying this is the way to do it because the way that you're going about it is making you this, that, and the other. It's like the thing is the reason he's got that is because he has built himself an empire which has made him okay to be that to an extent. I mean, it's given him. I don't want to say a pass, but it's given him sort of like a position of power, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, he comes across as like a fantasist, the kind of guy who would write into likes of Soldier of Fortune magazine or Black Belt magazine or Roosh V when he would write his books, as I've pointed out previously. The thing is, though, a lot of these channels, like Andrew Tate, they start us off with some basic self-help advice. Some of it's fairly actually pretty good. It's things like take a bit of pride in your appearance, go to the gym, groom yourself a little bit, wear some nice clothes. And that stuff's all well and good, but then it moves on to the more hardcore stuff. So you get the things like with Andrew Tate, hardcore misogyny; with Jordan Peterson, transphobia; with other channels like that, it moves into things like white nationalism.
Yeah.
So it goes down basically a dangerous rabbit hole. It starts off with some very, very good advice. That's what sucks people in, and then it starts going down this rabbit hole. I'll give you another example. Dave Cullen, Computing Forever. Now, a while ago, I had a whole bunch of videos. I basically had a playlist. I was doing some work in my house. I had some computing videos on a playlist, and Dave Collins popped up. And initially, it was a video about computing. I can't remember exactly what it was, but again, it was a fairly mundane video about computing. Then, however, 3 or 4 videos later, I wind up getting his video where he talks about how the Great Replacement is real.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh, Lord.
Oh dear. Oh dear. See, but this. So look, one of the big issues you'll find with people is when it comes to talking about sociology things or the social aspects of things, the lack of understanding of how humans behave and act and are, because they cannot see things outside of, you know, their little corner. This is how they end up down these insane rabbit holes, like we saw with Jordan Peterson. So when you have no clue how other humans function, when you have no clue outside of your own understanding of how you are, the confusing aspect is very offensive to you. So I see it with my own friends. So I always go back to the trans thing. So back in Blog TV days, hey, who remembers Blog TV days?
God, we're old. Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
If Fleet of the Geeks watching, yeah, remember I was her Blog TV bitch.
There you go. Okay, so I was at my friend's house, and my friend is like your typical Daily Mail reader. You know, he's a lovely guy, but stupid as stupid comes, and he hasn't fucking changed. And that, in fact, he's got more right wing as the years go by, because he's just. It's not that he go down the rabbit hole. It's just he doesn't venture out of what he's been fed, and because those outlets have become even worse, so has he. So you can see the correlation. However, back in 2009-10, it was. There was he popped on fucking Jerry Springer, and the trans person came out, and he was just hurling insults and all this kind of shit. And I was like, well, hang on a second. You don't know what's going on in their head, and I don't know what's going on in their head. And that compelled me to jump on to YouTube and Blog TV and to invite trans people to come on and just fucking explain to me what is going on, because I didn't understand it. I reached out to them, and this is when, you know, how I've met like Yasmin or Eopic and all this kind of, all these wonderful trans vloggers at the time. And it's what annoys me is there's never this urge to, there's no curiosity to expand upon your own little world. And that I find people that pass themselves off as intellectuals but refuse to learn about other parts of sociology and how humans function and all this. I just think you're a disingenuous, lazy intellectual who doesn't want to venture out and too far into the world because you're fucking scared of it. So this is why you get idiots like Jordan Peterson. When they first started, the basic tenets of their existence was good, sound advice. You know, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, look after yourself, get healthy, all this kind of crap. But because they didn't understand all the other stuff, they made these assumptions, and that leads them. That then brings in a group that already feel like that, who then push them further to that way because they're stroking their ego, and this is where you end up with this fucking world of complete, like, you know, intellectually bankrupt intellectuals who have no social skills, no understanding of how the social world works and how fucking complex it really is.
Richard Dawkins, Thunderfoot.
Another prime examples, people that
Pat
like
Condell.
in the world of atheism and religion and all this, they were
I wouldn't include Pat Condell in them because he basically is an outright racist.
yes, yeah. Pat Condell's always
Fair
been
enough.
an outright racist and a non-believer
Fair
kind of thing. But prime example, these people, and we saw it within our own community. Inside of the field of atheism, phenomenal to watch. Outside of that, in politics, in social things, completely fucking ignorant to the point of embarrassment.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins for me, the biggest things I could come up with for him. One was when he threw a temper tantrum over the fact he couldn't get a jar of honey aboard an airplane.
Yeah,
And he said, the terrorists have truly won because he was told he couldn't bring a jar of artisan honey on board. He would have to put it in his hold. Yeah, he was told he had to put it in the hold, and he wouldn't do it. The other thing that was really for me, Dawkins has gone on record as basically saying that he would defend a teacher of his if they were ever pulled up for sexually abusing children, because he didn't think, he basically admits that, like, when he was a boy, that teachers in his school would put their hands down the shorts of boys, but he described it as mild pedophilia.
Jesus,
Mild
Christ.
pedophilia.
Mild
Uh-huh.
pedophilia.
Wow.
Now,
Wait, do you know what I mean?
I have a hard time contrasting this with the fact that he and Christopher Hitchens were talking about arresting the Pope for Pope Benedict for his part in the Vatican effectively operating an international child sex ring.
Mm-hmm.
But yet he would have no problem with his teacher, defending his teacher, who was, he admitted, molesting boys.
Yeah, this is what I mean. This kind of that bubble that they live in, where they think that things that happen within that are acceptable, but when it's people that are not in their kind of sphere of control doing something abhorrent, it's just like, no, that's wrong. But hang on, you just fucking defended your own teacher for being a nonce, and to go like, make up your fucking mind. It's either one or the other. Jesus Christ, man. I didn't know about that. But he's got some shitty views on women as well. I remember that much as well. So he just, they just destroyed
Same with
him.
Thunderfoot. I mean, look how far down the anti-feminist rabbit hole he went.
Oh my God, yeah.
And also, his obsession with Islam at points did border on absolute racism.
Yes.
Yeah, but for me, like with him and Pat Condell and other YouTubers, I mean, you condemn the religion, condemn even to a degree what the religion has done to the culture, but then there is like a level of when you're kind of generalizing it in the wrong way. Like I've known actual ex-Muslims who wanted all Muslims to die. So I would say, what, do you want my dad to die? Is that what you're saying? You know what I mean? I know the religion is fucked and it gives a lot of religious people fucked up views and stuff like that. But there is a line you got to know when you realizing that you're straight out becoming a fascist yourself.
But the thing is, he was being intellectually. The thing that I like, what ended up getting me blocked from Thunder for, is that he was being intellectually dishonest about the Muslim world in its early years. Like he had just. It was like the fucking white supremacist playbook of they were nothing but barbarians since their conception.
Yeah, it's basically him saying that Islam has contributed nothing to the modern world. Well,
it preserved.
Islam has. And you
Sorry,
were talking about, like, for example, the fact again, Thunderfoot said, like, oh, what has Islam contributed? Well, more scientific papers were coming from Iran than at one point than anywhere else in the world, and it was on the field of nuclear science.
And they preserved a lot of the fucking Greek works on science and maths and all of this, where the Christians were fucking burning the stuff. They were destroying it. And I kept saying to him, like I said, when Christianity came into Greece, they fucking murdered and destroyed everything. They were killing philosophers. They were killing scientists, mathematicians. They killed all educators. They destroyed the Parthenon, not the blowing up part that happened during the Venetian Wars with the Ottomans. I'm talking about they defaced all the statues, anything that was pagan. They destroyed it. They turned Greece into a fucking hillbilly town of just uneducated morons because of it.
If you want to know how dishonest he is, I mean, when I went on a stream with him, I don't know if you guys recall, he was asking me what scientific journals have you read, and I told him at the time I was actually a subscriber to the New England Journal of Medicine, and he dismissed it, saying that's not legitimate science. It's literal medical science.
It's fucking hell. Yeah, but
I recall that.
No, but it doesn't matter, Shredder, because he's going to always move the goalposts.
Yeah, it was a case of moving the goalposts.
Always moving the goalposts.
And I again, as Dylan and Cole pointed out, actually afterwards, and I wish I'd actually picked him up on it, which was I could have easily said to him, "Well, what political journals have you read since you're venturing into politics?"
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of the way he was describing Muslims at that time, the only thing I could think of was that either he was reading the BNP manifesto, or he was a big supporter of Enoch Powell.
Yeah, and so what got me blocked from him was it was funny because Abby Normal was visiting London at the time, and so we went to the British Museum, and in the British Museum they happened to be doing a display on like early Islam, and it was like one of them. They just showed all the kind of technology and all the kind of weaponry and the text and all this kind of like great stuff. And I took the whole thing on video, and the whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, Thunderfoot, you're absolutely right. Islam's contributed nothing. Didn't do this, didn't do this, didn't do this, all this kind of shit. And that's what I sent it to him, and that's what got me blocked in the end.
By the way, our funeral friend is here, and he says, "And you can't see this in yourselves."
What can we not see in ourselves? So what is this? Is this a reference?
Pedophilia? No, you're right. We can't see it in ourselves.
Right. Well, let's have a look. So this comment was like 10 minutes ago. So I presume this is when we were talking about.
I have huge hands, Vance.
We kind of tangented from Tate.
Yeah, this is probably when we were talking about Tate and the fact that we were pointing out that people talk about all these channels, they come out with things like basic good advice on the surface, and then they delve into the rabbit hole of going down conspiracy theories or promoting vile, hateful views.
Yeah.
By the way,
I can't recall which group have we ever told, to go fuck themselves or anything like that, apart from the people like Geeks and Gamers.
I think it's just them.
I mean, have we ever promoted transphobia on this channel?
Loads of times.
No.
Yeah, every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We promote white nationalism. We promote racism. Yeah. We promote homophobia, sectarianism. Yeah, we promote all that on this channel.
Yeah.
We should clip that as the channel advert.
That's it. Yeah. What is NerdTube? Well, we promote this. We promote that.
I wish he was on earlier because he is a hardcore libertarian. And if he came at the beginning of the show when we were
he would have
libertarian
loved
a new arsehole. Yeah, he would have loved it. I would like to rip him a new arsehole myself. Daniel Vance, Gingers that can is either really small or you have huge hand. Oh, that can. Okay, yeah.
It's a normal 330 ml can.
Wait, hang on. Zam will be able to tell us, because you've got experience from fisting. So, how big are his hands?
He always sits funny because my hands are massive, baby. You don't want
they're bigger than these.
Let me guess. You can only handle one fist at a time.
No,
which is more than most men.
I am great at managing the comments. You're damn right. Cancelled. Yeah, you're right about that too. Yeah,
the whole channel's cancelled. That's how we go.
Okay. But regarding Tate, I mean, just to get back to him, I'm hoping that they can finally get a case going. Throw this guy in jail, throw away the key. I know eventually he will have a successor because people like that always do, and somebody will want to come in. But I am very satisfied with this. It's just a shame. It's just a shame that I know a lot of Muslims who do like him, because for me, when he turned to Islam, it was a grift, 100%. The guy's not
Tommy Robinson doing it. Tommy Robinson found religion too, obviously when he was going to prison.
Yep.
Well, he found Islam.
Well, no, he found religion.
Yeah,
he turned to Christianity all of a sudden.
Yeah, I was going to say, like Ollie London, who was like trying to be a K-pop star, is now like a Catholic. He's now a Catholic because his grift for left wingers didn't work, so he's trying more for right wingers.
That's what you can always action onto whatever hot topic there is. He detransitioned. I don't really care, mate. If you want,
there was nothing like he comes out of jail during Ramadan, by the way, and they're just walking around smoking this huge fat cigar. And I'm thinking to myself, mate, you shouldn't be fucking doing that during Ramadan. There's nothing. There's nothing remotely Muslim about him, and obviously the way he look, even though like a lot of Muslim men fantasize women, they don't really necessarily talk about women. They don't go on about women as much as he does. Way he does is very not Muslim like. It's they might want fucking 7 wives or whatever, yeah, but they won't go on about it the way he fucking does.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And he's a fake. He's a proper fake. And he's involved in casinos and stuff like that. And you call yourself a Muslim. I know there are Muslims who do that, but then you yourself are not fucking doing the religion any favors by claiming to be a Muslim and involved in fucking within like Romanian mafia's fucking casino industries. It's just like, what the fuck? It's just
absolutely.
I think it was an effort to deflect criticism, to be honest with you, because that's just what he was like. He was just
Gary, what it is that misogyny works really well within Islam. It fucking works beautifully within Islam. There's so many, unfortunately, it's still it's the most newest religion, so in a way mainstream religion, so in a way it's still playing catch up to the rest of the world when it comes to maybe being a little bit more left leaning when it comes to certain social issues, if you know what I mean.
Can I just jump in on that quickly? I would like to say that actually the Middle East in the late 19th and 20th century was actually progressing a lot further into secularism before the fucking
Islamic Revolution.
The British people came in and fucked everything up.
Well, I mean, you look at the fashion of places of Iran, like in the 1970s, and it was comparable to the West.
Yeah.
But it was when the Islamic Revolution took over, in the late 70s, early 80s?
1979.
1979. But that's when, we saw the strict interpretation that they've got now, where women are wearing hijabs and burqas, and they don't have the freedom and liberation that they did in the early 70s.
Yeah, it's all that the birth of neoliberalism saw the death of progressive Islam, because they were just funding all these fucking nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. They fund the worst kind, because they'd rather have fundamentalists on their side who are going to help their situation than have godless lefties run a fucking country, because then that means they can't exploit the country for their resources.
But let's be honest, Islam in the West, Western Muslims, a lot of them have adopted a more liberal attitude towards people in society than, say, back home in Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Iran.
Yes.
There are more moderate Islams. So there are more moderate Muslims following a moderate interpretation of Islam than there are extremists in the West.
100%. But
extremists
I want to be clear, so the only reason we say that is because the people living within the countries, like we saw with Iran and the protests and all of that, a lot of them have to stay shtum because they'll get basically butchered. And but I remember in the MySpace days, we had a Saudi Arabian who was gay, and he said that despite what people were saying at the press, obviously I don't know, we're going back to MySpace days, but it goes, there are regions where there are basically like gay districts in Saudi Arabia, and people were just allowed to fucking get on with it, as long as they weren't doing anything out in the open kind of thing. So you're right there, mate.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'll be right back. I'm going to get some water.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not saying obviously that, they weren't being punished and all that, but if they got caught doing it, then that's where they face the repercussions. But because it is so prevalent in a lot of these places, they're just like, well, what are we going to do? Fucking murder all of them? It's just that when they get caught and they know definitively. But this was back in 2006, 2007. Obviously, I don't know how things are there now. But there are atheism is such a threat in the Muslim world that they were coming out, I know in Egypt and Saudi Arabia, declaring them as terrorists. Yep. Because a lot of the youth are kind of sick of it. We've seen a huge turnaround in Tunisia where I think it's one of them, like they have the largest number of non-religious citizens in the Muslim world, in Tunisia and all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, but
it's trying to just get rid of these fucking authoritarian governments so that they can go back to how they were before Western interference. But
it's not that necessarily the same though within the UK, because you see, for Asian youth, Muslim Asian youth in the UK, it's a way of identifying yourself, more than anything, and the amount of fucking Muslims I see on social media platforms, British Muslims, whether it be say TikTok and stuff like that, is incredible, and a lot of them have not secularized and adapted to the Western world simply because they need a form of identification and a way of portraying yourself, a badge of honor, and that's fucking Islam.
well,
You know what I
there's
mean? All the
you could
time,
do-
alhamdulillah, like shut the fuck
you
up.
could draw a lot of
Head.
comparisons. So within my community, so the Greek diaspora in America, the Americans, they're fucking insane. They're like vehemently anti-Turkish and like very like fucking staunch right wingers and pro New Democrat kind of party and all this kind of like fuck Albanians and they all suck at Greek supremacy. All this because they get so caught up in trying to have their own identity, but that's what they're kind of privy to. Whereas if you go to Greece, they fucking don't give a shit.
Well, I mean,
they don't care.
I mean,
It's completely
look
different.
Look at my appearance right now, whether I have my head shaved or not. I look like your stereotypical Muslim. I got a beard and all of that sort of stuff. But being in my profession as a cab driver, I have to. I do pick up a lot of people who are LGBTQ customers. I even mentioned to you that I had a customer called Harris Reed. You can Google that name right now. He's a transgendered American fashion designer. Had them in my car just a couple of days ago. And one of the things I do to make my LGBTQ customers feel at ease is that I have a rainbow lanyard around my neck. I have a rainbow thing in my car, just where my rear view mirror is, just hanging there as well, so they can pick up on those things and realize that I'm not, unfortunately, well, fortunately for them, but unfortunately I have to do this. That a lot of Muslims are stereotypically homophobic, and
I
that's.
agree. That's
and
right before you rear end them in the middle of a field.
yeah, exactly. But that
Zam's
is
the one generally getting
unfortunately-
rear-ended.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
hey man,
But
get yours if you can.
But the point is, I'm just saying, we are stereotypically looked upon as homophobic. Often when I'm on social media platforms and I see a Muslim person on there, like this last month, I've been going to them. Happy Pride Month. So many of them have blocked me instantly. Instantly blocked me. For me saying Happy Pride Month.
I mean,
to
anytime
Muslims.
Anytime we see the Premier League kind of start its Pride Month advertising, the two largest groups that you get there are Muslims and Africans on there saying, "No, we don't need all this."
Muslims who are Africans, but just Muslims in general, like whether they be African,
not necessarily, because you get a whole bunch of fucking gammon as well.
No, mate, no. Honestly, the ratio, like if you go for like Arsenal, for example, that has a huge like kind of African fan base, you'll see it there. It is rampant. Like compared to the gammons, it's like 10-1.
These are the people going, we don't want our politics. They'll go to them. They don't want our politics. They'll disguise their bigotry by saying we don't want politics in our football. At the same time, they're totally cool with black players bending the knee. So so they it's just bullshit from these motherfuckers. They're just homophobic, and it does bug me though, because as much as we all don't like Muslims and to be vindicated in a particular way, unfortunately homophobia is a massive fucking issue within that culture, and a lot of these motherfuckers they're not stepping aside on it, and I have a massive issue with it, because when it comes to being discriminated in various ways, I tick so many boxes. I'm fucking when I was in America, for instance, being brown, not straight. I mean, at that time I still consider myself to be straight, but a foreigner, all of these sort of shit, an atheist, I tick every fucking box imaginable to be discriminated against. It's
and the thing is, just to be clear, like where I live in North London, it's a very large kind of African and Asian communities and all this kind of stuff, and I've grown up with it, and I know what it's like. It's not even just like the Muslim part of it. It's like I always have this issue where people kind of gloss over the rampant homophobia within the black community as well, and I argue with people who are dismissive of this, who live in areas where it's a mostly white population, so they don't see it firsthand. And it's not to say that that means we're going to attack the whole of the black. I'm saying no. You have to highlight that there is issues within pockets of communities. It's not just, it's not just everything's going to be white people, white people, white people. You've got to say, well, homophobia goes across the board, and you have to tackle it the same way within all communities. And I get pissed off when it kind of gets dismissed, like even without Greeks and their fucking history with gayness, and yet homophobia is rampant within my with my people, especially with Cypriots. Like yeah.
Well, look, I mean, like for instance, when you mention the black community, it's for argument's sake, look, you look at Africans in certain African countries, you can be killed for being gay. Now they made it the fucking death penalty, and then you
that's
go
thanks to American money and American Christians.
I mean, you got all these missionaries going over there, fucking turning their heads and making them into, doing what they're doing, unfortunately. But then also, like, if you go to Western Indian countries and stuff, all these stuff like being a batty boy and all of this sort of stuff is frowned upon. So it is lots of parts, especially third world. Sorry, Gary. Especially the third world. They are still catching up and just being civilized, and these are the sort of things that matter. I mean, and then obviously they use the kids' defense, which is ridiculous. Gary.
Well, I'm going to say two things, right? I think that we've got to be careful here, because there are some racists who use this kind of like stereotype about like certain communities to attack. Like, for example, in Manchester, there is a very heavy like Afro-Caribbean part of it. No, they're not really integrated communities because they live like in certain parts of Manchester. But I have interacted with them, and they tend to be as diverse as we white people are. There are some homophobes there, but it doesn't tend to be as prevalent in that area. But I think there is a lot of people who try and use that to attack them in a racial way. So that's why I'm saying we've got to be a bit careful. But also,
well, I'm not being careful. I'm not being careful in kind of highlighting what a problem it is.
My background, because again, North London isn't the same as Moss Side, or isn't the same as flaming Cheetham Hill. These are areas of Manchester, by the way.
Yeah.
That have Afro-Caribbean side, and people do use that sort of shit to be racist towards them. I'm not saying that is the fact of Mancunian black people, not necessarily North London black people, because I think it's more intricated in that. Again, I don't want to talk about. Look,
it's not even about that. It's also the hypermasculinity aspect of it. So, like again, a lot of youth in my area just fucking worship the ground that Taint fucking walks on. It's that there's always that. And again, growing up, I had to be so reserved in how I express myself, because my manhood would come into question, and I'd find myself having to just fucking get into random fights with people just to prove a point to a bunch of fucking hollow dickheads about, within my own community and the Turkish community and the Afro-Caribbean community about my masculinity. But I couldn't express myself until when I went to university, and then I was able to just be happy-go-lucky, piss-taking, kind of fucking fun and all this kind of shit. And I just realized how arse backwards North London is. Like, you come to that realization, and it's like, it's wonderful that we're all inclusive and we get along, but there was a lot of like arse backwards social stuff. It's gotten better in the last 20 years, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, don't forget that there is issues within all communities that we face. They're all fucking same. They all face the same kind of issues and the same stuff. don't fob it off. Is kind of my main argument.
Comment here
No,
from
no, I
Daniel
agree.
Vance. I
Yeah.
grew up in a religion that says I cannot approach the altar because I'm a physical defect. A religion is Christianity. Believers in religion typically only see the best in their beliefs. And once again, like
had the
religion,
exact opposite. I had the exact opposite flaming experience.
Yeah, but you live in the
I
UK,
was told
mate. We're a bit more.
I could not achieve anything. Right,
Yeah.
I will go into my story a little bit. I was told by secularism I couldn't achieve anything. I was told I would always be like basically doing menial jobs the rest of my life. This is what secularism told me. Christianity told me.
How did secularism
Yeah, how
tell you
does
that?
secularism teach you that?
Three guys from the college I was at, 2 guys from the school I was at, 2 job officers said that
That's
all I
got
would
fuck all
do.
to do with secularism, mate. That's just
Yeah,
a couple of
I'm
guys.
saying that they were secular in their thinking, though. That's what I'm saying. Because this bell curve shit.
No. Again, how are they secular in their thinking? I mean, they probably
Because it's
studied your
bell
case.
curve.
I mean,
It's a bell
you've
curve.
no. Look, hang on, Gary. Let's be honest. You've been open about the fact that you've got learning difficulties.
Yeah.
So it's possible that might have played a very big part in why they said that this is what you're going to be restricted to. What has that got to do with secularism?
Yeah, and I've often told you, Gary, that you are 100% on the spectrum, but you don't even realize it. Like, I don't mean that as a slur. I'm just saying that things might open up for you if you went and got yourself checked for that, because that ties into a lot of the difficulties and struggles that you have.
No, but what I'm saying is I don't have it, and I'm going to say how I know for a fact I don't have it. Okay, because a lot of people who have what I have it. Okay, so I even though I know it's a quote unquote spectrum, okay, I'm not that high on it. Okay, because I'm functioning. I can function in society pretty well.
But so can a lot of people that are on the spectrum.
Again, it's a spectrum. It's it's very, very broad. You know, there's people who are like in the very, very extreme end of the autism spectrum where they're non-verbal, they can't communicate.
Those are the people I worked with. Yeah.
Again, there are people who are, at the other end of the spectrum, they can function fairly well. They've just got certain quirks about them.
Yeah.
But again, as I pointed out, Gary, you've been open about the fact you've got learning difficulties. Why is it that that's not what played into, all these people telling you would be doing remedial jobs? But also at the same time, how does that play into secularism?
All right, because it's about limiting. Because again, because there was this popular work that I fairly still probably called the bell curve, which is about how people with disabilities, and people don't know about this, so I'll educate them a little bit. That says that people with disabilities only have a certain ceiling. Now, the thing that opened my mind up bigly about this, or more about this, was that for a summer, I was sent to a quote-unquote special school or a special needs school. A lot of those kids had zero opportunity. They were actually jealous of me because I was doing GCSEs. They told me that in order to do GCSEs, they'd have to be like Stephen Hawking level of intelligence. We're talking like super intelligence. So these kids, they were any less intelligent than I was. They just happened to have a bad hand. And that's what pisses me off.
But that's got nothing to do with secularism.
Again, what does that have to do with secularism?
It's to do with the fact that they're limited based upon physical things, not based upon their individual skill set.
That's fuck all to do with secularism. That's just
nothing to do with secularism.
That's just them working on a weird kind of scale within their own system of education or whatever it was that you were at. It's fuck all to do with secularism. When you turn up to church and they just be like, you can do what you like. It's like, well, nobody's going to tell you can't do what you like.
I mean, you do know what secularism is, Gary. Gary, you do know what secularism is, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it's the inclusion of specific facts to base it around it. It has nothing to do with human understanding, human support, human wealth. Like it removes all sorts of human
endeavor. It's just a separation of church and state. That's all.
Separation of religion from any affairs. So how does secularism play a part in you being told that you were not going to get you were going to be doing menial work for the rest of your life? How did secularism play a part in that?
Because the people who were doing it lacked any kind of empathy for people like me. Because
that's
they
fuck
were
all to
pointing.
do with
Because
that.
they
Look, we're not going to dwell on this,
into-
Gary, because we've been down
It's not
rabbit holes
secularism.
of your lack of understanding on things, and it's nothing to do with secularism, mate. I'm sorry.
Shall
to
we
say.
jump onto the?
I'm just saying, right? All I'm saying, right, is we need to stop putting people who are disabled in a box and expand the box. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, it's
You
nothing
put
to do with
that- whatever-
secularism. Anyway,
Yeah,
if that's-
again,
okay,
that's
Zan,
nothing
sorry.
because-
Did you want to move on to what?
To wrestling.
Oh right.
Yes.
Oh, just before we do, I've got a segue actually. It's something. It's a mix of Andrew Tate and pro wrestling. Well, there's two things I'd like to propose. First of all, if Logan Paul ever goes to jail for his cryptocurrency scheme, I would like Andrew Tate to be booked with Logan Paul in the longest cage match in the history of pro wrestling.
I'm in.
The second thing, with regard to Andrew Tate, I want to run this past you guys because I want to pitch this to the Romanian authorities. I want to propose a new piece of legislation for Romania called the Big Boss Man Act. Now, this is based on the fact that Ray Traylor, who portrayed the character of the Big Boss Man, legitimately was a prison guard at one point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
This is specifically for Andrew Tate. Now, I think this could pay off well because, one, it could potentially rehabilitate him, or at least teach him how to behave. And two, I would happily pay for a pay-per-view stream to watch this daily. Now, the proposal I've got is, if Andrew Tate has behaved himself, he will get woken up every morning to the babyface version of the Big Boss Man's theme, where it'll be a line of prison guards doing a conga line singing, "You'll be serving hard times." And that's how he gets woken up if he's behaved himself. If he hasn't, then he gets woken up to the Attitude Era theme of Big Boss Man. Yep.
Yeah.
At which point, at least 4 guards armed with batons and tasers are going to go in and give him the beating that he gave all those young women.
Will it also have somebody rub up against you? Don't you love the way leather feels against your body?
I love that.
That was a great match.
But yeah, that would be my proposal for the Romanian government, the Big Boss Man Act.
Hell
That's
yeah.
great. I love it. I'm
Yep.
all in.
I'm in.
I'm all in. William should be Prime Minister of Romania.
Oh, Daniel, we're going to go to gaming at the
I
end.
don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but did you guys watch LA Knight cut a promo for Logan Paul? It was like possessed.
Yeah, he roasted him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Well, I
didn't
hilarious.
see it,
and funny.
but-
I mean, Logan Paul's probably the main reason I'm not going to watch Money in the Bank.
Logan Paul's
Yeah.
going to win, and the IWC is going to lose their fucking minds. I'm calling it right
Logan
now.
Paul needs a win, by the way, in my opinion. Look, I know he's a grifter, but look, I can't pick and choose when it comes to WWE, but it's owned by Vince McMahon, who's the most, who's the worst of them all. Especially with like how he's healing, healing fucking Iran right now to appease the Saudis. I mean, like it's absolutely ridiculous. So but regarding Logan Paul, I think this is the best way for him to get a victory without having to pin anybody so they look like they've been pinned by Logan Paul, but by him just going there and getting the briefcase. I think this is ideal.
If LA
He's
Knight doesn't
talented.
win, then that's just fucking stupid. Like this ageism that the WWE has.
Yeah, you're 40
Knight.
something. You're old.
Fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous.
LA Knight is like the white version of The Rock.
Pretty
Yeah,
much. He
he
even
really
sounds
is.
like The Rock at times.
Yeah.
I loved him. I
Yeah.
loved him when he was Eli Drake in TNA. Like,
Mm.
Oh yeah, and
Fucking
he was one of the
amazing.
when the NWA was good. He was one of the highlights.
Emphasis
Yeah,
on when
oh,
they were good.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Like the
Yeah,
early
yeah.
days of the early days of the revived NWA.
When NWA
Yeah.
Power was in its first season, he
Yeah.
was one of the
He was
highlights.
fire. Yeah.
Was
Him,
great.
Trevor Murdoch, James Storm, they were Nick Aldis. They were probably Ricky Starks.
Yeah, they
Ricky
were-
Starks
Starks,
Wrestling
yeah.
Blue. They, oh god, I mean that show had so much talent on it.
Yeah,
Yep, it
yeah,
did.
it did.
When is money?
Yeah.
When is Money in the Bank?
Sometime next month. Don't know when exactly.
Yeah,
It's
it's
in London,
July,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they're going
Yeah,
to
it's
be in
gonna
London.
It's the O2
Yeah.
Arena.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think it's
So,
the 22nd of
I mean,
something
to be
like
honest
that.
with you, LA Knight's been doing like good stuff with shit for so long. I mean, he managed to save. I mean, I don't believe Bray Wyatt for this, but he managed to save a pretty shit program with Bray Wyatt.
No, that whole thing
Oh.
had to be abandoned
The,
because
the-
it was so goddamn shit.
Yep.
the Mountain Dew match. Yeah.
The Mountain
fuck
Dew
yeah,
match.
That was
Yeah.
that was it.
Oh,
That was it for
God,
Bray Wyatt.
yeah.
What little
Yeah.
what little modicum of oomph he had with the fandom,
It died right there.
It
Yep.
died right there.
That's
And
not his fault.
I
When-
haven't
when
liked Bray
Uncle Hud
Wyatt
went
for a
through
long
the-
fucking time. But I've also been somebody who doesn't like the stuff that he's done WWE, but I want to see him go off and just become a horror icon in the movie
Yeah, go
industry.
fucking take over Hollywood of
Yeah,
horror
just
and
go
just
fucking
go
do
do that. Yeah.
Your time as a wrestler in the industry is done. You're dead.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do now because if you keep going down the same gimmick, you keep rejecting all the creative ideas they give you, and then the stuff you come up with is this shit.
Yep.
Fuck off. You're
Mhm.
done. So
Yeah.
okay. So we had we're sticking with the wrestling. We had Collision make its debut last Saturday.
Oh, what a show that was!
Yeah, it was a good show. They
First of
started
all,
off hot.
Okay, before we talk about the show, I want to say the set
It was an amazing. show.
gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best looking set in wrestling.
I mean, there was all these
For
jokes
me.
flying around because the logo for AEW Collision, a lot of people compared it to the WCW Monday Nitro logo,
Yeah.
but the set was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It put pretty much every other show to shame.
Yeah.
When they kicked off and they just
I-
showed the set, I was just like, if the big focus is on that set, firstly,
It took you back.
I was just like, wow, it took me back because it took me
Yeah.
back to Monday Nitro,
Mhm.
but it looked gorgeous and modern, and like I love the dark setting. I hate when the audience is highlighted. Like I can't stand WWE's aesthetic.
Yeah, I don't like the lighting on the crowd. I've always hated that. That's a
I've always
criticism
hated
I've always had. Yeah.
Never liked it. Don't want it. But this, was gorgeous. So yeah,
Yep.
Gaz.
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, Nigel and Kevin Kelly have got
Nope.
Yeah, we're losing you, Gary.
We're losing,
mate.
one of the best
Yeah.
like commentary teams in wrestling at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were good ever since they got paired up together in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You
you know,
don't-
they were the best announced team at the business at one point. I'm glad they're back together. It's a shame what happened with Jim Ross. Jim Ross unfortunately had a nasty fall, screwed up like half of
His
his
eye.
face at least.
Yeah.
And he was off his game when it came to the main event. And I like that position actually, where they decide, okay, well, we'll have Jim Ross come out and call the main event and give it a big match feel.
And that's how it needs
I'm-
to be when
I'm
he's
happy with that rather
Yeah.
than him doing a whole show.
Yeah, I'd rather have Jim Ross be the main event co-commentator person, just because then it's like, okay, Collision adds that big fight feel. And what I also like is that they did a title change, and it's like, okay, so you have Collision be that show where anything can happen, and that's what's amazing. And I hope that they keep that kind of mindset going of like, you got to tune into Collision because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's also great because they spotlighted some guys that we've wanted to see flourish for a while.
Mhm.
Miro, Thunder Rosa is going to be there apparently. You've had Andrade return there.
Ricky
Yeah.
Starks, Buddy Matthews.
Ricky Starks,
You know.
Will Hobbs was Will Hobbs
Yeah.
was spotlighted there.
yeah,
They claimed
CM
him there.
Punk loves Hobbs. He's so
Yeah.
big on Hobbs. But yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
you
how
have-
could you not be? Hobbs is somebody you should be grooming to be your champion the next 5
I
years.
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. He is phenomenal.
Yeah, Ricky Starks
Yeah.
is another one. How
Yeah.
is that guy not a regular main eventer?
But the thing is as well, like I'll laugh just quickly. So during Collision, they advertised obviously Dynamite, and in Dynamite, all the wrestlers that they highlighted within that advert,
It was
What-
Spot
the
Monkeys.
exact fucking reason why nobody wants to watch Dynamite. It
Yep.
was like I said, it was the fucking Spot Monkeys. It's like I don't want to see these indie pricks. I want to see the legitimate fucking the legitimate fucking good motherfuckers.
Did you
that-
see
that
on
do the
Dynamite?
wrestling.
Did you see on Dynamite Moxley whispering into one of the Jacksons' ears?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in front of the camera.
How the fuck did they get away with that?
Yeah, there's been worse. You could hear John Cena calling spots in the fucking fifth row, but
Oh,
yeah.
see,
point
Cena
taken.
calling spots is one thing. I mean, that's stupid enough as it is because you'll.
Yeah, but how the fuck do you How the
Like, why
fuck
is
do
the
you?
face the tradition though? Because the heel
Yeah.
should always be calling the match.
Yeah. How the fuck
Yeah.
do you Kevin Dunn it up? Because that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. But on Collision, you know, we had it, like yeah,
It was a
we even
solid
got
fucking show.
Yeah.
yeah, it was a solid show. It just felt like a good old fashioned wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just felt like a proper good old fashioned wrestling show. Oh, there we go. He's back.
I can't think of any bad segments on that show.
No, I thought the
I've got to
pacing.
say, the CM Punk promo was brilliant. The fact that he did basically did two promos in one. He did a promo for the casual fan, and he did a promo for the quote-unquote smart fan.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the day they get the fuck out of Chicago so he can fucking turn, because I know it's coming. I'm like, I can't wait for the selfish, angry, spoiled CM Punk to come back.
Well, I think now that's going to not happen too soon because
It's going to take a minute, but he'll come back.
Or do you think it's going to be a case of he's going to be heel in some markets and others he's going to be a babyface?
I think that's where
I think
they're going.
That's not
No,
my
but the
shout.
fact that he like personally, I think with him now being very vocal regarding his LGBTQ support,
Yeah, they're not going
um,
to turn him heel. Not yet.
they're not going to turn him heel because then that would counteract the actual support that he'd be promoting. Because even though he did that when the show went off air, it's like that shit has gone viral.
Yeah,
It really
and
has.
once it
And
gets
I
out,
give-
it gets out.
And you know what? I give him so much. Look, I've been very on and off with CM Punk recently, but I'm way back on with him now because to do that, you know, with wrestling fans, and let's be honest, wrestling fans can be proper neckbeards and all of that shit as well. They're the sort of a lot of wrestling fans are the type of guys to buy Bud Light just so they could shoot the AR-15 at it. You know what I mean? So to know and you know to just basically say how he feels, I thought, you know, regarding that, and not to pull any punches. And honestly, we need allies when it comes to this particular thing.
Yes.
Let's remember again, you know, okay, yeah, he didn't do that on TV. He didn't hold up that sign on TV, but he's been known to do kind of things like this before. I mean, if you remember when Roe v. Wade was overturned in the United States, what did Punk come out to the arena on TV wearing?
Mm-hmm.
It was a T-shirt with a diagram of a uterus on it.
Yeah,
and what was the quote on it? It was
Get one and then let it tell you what to do.
Yeah, get one and then you tell it what to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to
exactly.
turn. I don't think he'll turn yet, but I think by the time 2023 is over, he will. The babyface nostalgia and all that type of shit will wear off. Like the fandom will be like, "Oh, okay, cool, we've seen him, but now let's move on."
And you could, if the elite grew a fucking pair of balls and matured, they could easily be the good guys in that scenario.
Oh yeah,
you know, amongst their stupid fan base,
or even just, you know, give the fucking fans, you know, FTR and CM Punk versus the Bucks and Omega. Yeah, the crowd would be split on it because you would have the Elite fans on one side and you would have the rest of us on the other side, you know, actually wanting to see the fucking wrestlers win.
By the way, Kenny Omega's also aligned himself with CM Punk on the LGBTQ thing as well.
That's because Kenny Omega's bisexual.
Yeah, he's bisexual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's bisexual.
I've got to say, I mean, like, I have enjoyed them do this Forbidden Door thing because it means we're going to get Omega, Ospreay, too. Which
isn't that this weekend?
This Sunday. This Sunday.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking watch that. Oh,
I'm watching
that.
Me too.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see Okada Danielson. That's going to be a match of the year. That is going to be fire. Okada and Danielson.
There's reports that Punk is going to get set up for a match on Collision.
Yeah, because Kenta pulled out, which sucks. But Kenta pulled that doesn't work for me, brother. And now we're not going to get that.
Just to stick with the with the rainbow stuff. What's his face? God, the Irish wrestler in WWE.
Sheamus.
No, the other one. One is part of the fucking. He's like friends with Rhea Ripley and Damian and Priest and that guy.
Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor. Like in the past, WWE were totally cool with him. You know, being an advocate for the LGBTQ community.
Obviously, Balor Club is for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. But now with them collaborating with Saudi Arabia and
no,
all
they
of
were
that.
collaborating with Saudi Arabia when he did that.
Really?
I don't know if they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Balor Club
Yeah, he just
thing
well, no,
for everyone was not that long
couldn't
ago.
wear. He couldn't wear. I don't think he could wear the rainbow colors at Saudi Arabia. But yeah,
No.
he's been doing the whole Balor Club for everybody.
Yeah, but they're
before
doing
he
it
joined.
a lot more now. But he hasn't really like expressed it. His like
That's because he's a heel.
obviously he's
Yeah,
a heel
he's
at the moment. Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying. I just don't feel that the WWE are necessarily going down that road just generally when it comes to LGBTQ support, like they were when Finn Balor was a face.
No, they'll just wait and whitewash the Warriors' history.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy with CM Punk because he's a massive star, and I'm really happy where they're going with this. And I know that there are.
AEW has always been
supporters.
open about it. You know, again, like with Nyla Rose and all this kind of stuff. They were very, very, very fucking open from the start where their stance was. They've never hidden it. So,
yeah, but this is massive though. Like the CM Punk is one of the biggest stars in recent years. I never knew all this other shit you mentioned. I didn't have a fucking clue. CM Punk did this, and now I know more about this than ever. This is going to give them great exposure, in my opinion.
But that's good because again, you're coming from the point of view of somebody who doesn't watch the product, who doesn't know what's going on within the product. But now this has kind of helped highlight things, and we're here to tell you as well that but this, and this. So you are more privy to the kind of stuff, and like I say, it's only a good thing. Yeah. Oh, the block is here. Did I block in this? Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Just deleting files. I was just on TikTok. So.
Yeah.
Block, you're a big wrestling fan. Have you got anything to add?
I missed part of that segment. I haven't been watching AEW recently, so I missed out the last few weeks. But
did you watch Collision?
I've been kind of following WWE.
Did you see the
no, I had
image
to go
of
back and watch it. So
okay, did you see the image that's been circulating of CM Punk supporting trans rights?
Yeah, I saw that.
Right.
That's what we were talking about.
That's what we've been talking about recently. So
yeah, but Forbidden Door is Sunday as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
I know Bryan Danielson is working injured. So let's see.
How old is Bryan Danielson now?
He's got to be in his 40s.
40, 41.
40, 41? Nah.
Yeah, he's younger than me.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's about my age.
Yeah, let's see.
Check.
With more concussions.
But
I think he started wrestling in like
42.
2002.
42. Okay, right.
I'm curious. Obviously, because we've been mentioning the fact that CM Punk, obviously held up that sign in support of trans rights. Gary, you mentioned something off stream about homophobia from wrestling fans.
Yeah, because I think there'd been like from what I'd heard. I mean, we don't know how that the IWC had been kind of like gay bashing certain members of the AEW roster. That's what I'd heard.
That's gone on. I mean, Anthony Bowens, for example, has been heckled with homophobia because Anthony Bowens of the Acclaimed is gay.
Yeah.
Fucking Pat Patterson.
I didn't know that.
Fake.
Pat Patterson. No, he's a fucking bloody diddler.
But you asked me what was so you asked me for a reason. What was it, Gary? You asked me for a reason to compile a list of
I was asking because it's just like they're against gay men and they're against trans people, but they seem to be all for the lesbian baiting, the flaming gay.
Well,
hot lesbian action.
Let's be honest. Well, let's be perfectly honest. Whenever it's been men who've been involved in angles with regard to, or even with gimmicks with regard to homosexuality, in some cases when it's guys who have legitimately been gay, it's generally not been in a positive light, has it?
No.
Chuck
So-
and Billy, Rico.
Billy and Chuck,
Orlando
Jordan.
Canyon.
Rico. The Orlando Jordan was probably the worst, I think.
Yeah,
because
Orlando Jordan is the top of the
Orlando
list.
Jordan has the top of the list for the worst for the it's for the simple reason that if you recall, the angle was he was aggressively pursuing Rob Terry during his run in TNA, and
Yep.
he was also saying things like
Yeah, I remember
this will
that.
be our secret. And it
Yep.
was in such a sinister tone. It was a bit like I think it was Lance Storm pointed out in his podcast. That was kind of what was going on with Jerry Sandusky and all these issues with young athletes who were being molested by their coaches, and they were being told this will be our secret.
Lord.
Fuck me. God.
So
Adrian Adonis.
It was quite uncomfortable. Adrian Adonis, it was adorable, Adrian, but remember he was with his wife, Miss Linda.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you asked me to think about all these different lesbian angles that's been done in pro wrestling. So I got a little list here. There was Mickie James and Trish Stratus because she was a lesbian stalker. Tori Wilson and Dawn Marie, the infamous What Happened in Room 357. Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon being forced to do HLA on pay-per-view and all the HLA stuff Eric Bischoff was doing on Raw. TNA had the beautiful people constantly teasing that they would kiss on national TV.
Yep.
Madison Rayne, when she split from the beautiful people, she would start kissing Tara on her way to the ring. They had like a pseudo lesbian relationship going on. Candice Michelle, Tori Wilson, and Victoria would all regularly engage in teasing that there was girl on girl action going on, even kissing each other. Maurice at one point was being set up to actually do an angle where she was an aggressive lesbian. At one point, because she would like lie on top of her opponents and she would whip her hair back like she was orgasming. And that was like, it happened for like a couple matches and then they pulled the plug on it. Paige licking Natalia's face, crawling all over her during a match. Katarina and Ivelisse and Lucha Underground, they teased a lesbian angle. There was Candice Michelle and Kelly Kelly when they danced together on Extreme Expose. Again, that was teasing. There was like girl on girl action going on. The whole Sable and Tori Wilson angle. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, that was planned to have a lesbian angle at WrestleMania 35. Mickie James and Melina. There was Beulah and Kimona. Winter and Angelina Love in TNA. OVW had an angle with Taylor Hendricks and Heidi Lovelace, aka Ruby Soho.
I love how you've kept such a great record of all this kind of stuff.
No, this was like all stuff I thought of just like off the top of my head because Gary was asking me like,
all this shit
it took him like 5 minutes.
It took me like just a couple minutes to remember all this stuff. Christy Hemme kissed Lillian Garcia, and then obviously they did the whole Diva pillow fights with Stacy Keibler. Let's be honest, it was girl on girl wank fodder.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, there's been like a whole.
Well, we nearly had Liv Morgan
litany.
and Lana as well.
Yeah, Liv Morgan and Lana. Again, there's been a whole litany of girl on girl angles and stuff that was designed to basically tease lesbianism on the air. Nobody gave a fuck about that.
Well, that's what Vince wants.
That's what I want, damn it.
That's what the kids want. But you tease the gay stuff, it's just like, oh my god, my masculinity is being
Or you
attacked.
even just mention somebody's gay. I mean, look at what happened when Darren Young came out as gay, and all these people said, "Oh, he's just extended his career. They won't fire him now just because he's come out."
And they fired him anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, they fired
years
him a couple. Oh, that was a couple of years later. They fired him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
But
fired
again,
him a couple of years later.
Yeah, but a couple of years later. But again, he was just released. But there was a lot of people saying
but
he
the
only
Vince-
came out to secure his job.
Vince McMahon was like the step between the rock and a hard place. Like, how do I, push this guy without using him being homosexual as part of his gimmick? And
Well, they never did.
and
Though.
he-
They never did.
no, but that's the thing. He could with someone like Vince McMahon can't. I mean, if
in this
Mustafa
era,
Ali,
he probably wanted to, if knowing Vince, but everyone else would be like, no, you can't do that. And USA Network would be like, the fuck, you're doing nothing.
Well, remember, this
Vince
is
McMahon had
Vince
no
McMahon
idea
who
for him. And
this
Yeah.
was
That's
Vince
right,
McMahon who fucking proposed that he would be the father of Stephanie's baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I've got to say,
I
the
mean-
most uncomfortable thing I've ever watched on television was when Vince got off with Stephanie. I mean, like for what?
No,
Why?
well, when he
I
had the
wasn't watching it at the time.
father-daughter match, he mentioned about deflowering her and stuff like that, which is absolutely awful. But just to once again go back to Darren
Trumpian
Ambrose,
levels of disgusting.
he couldn't think of a way of gimmicking him or promoting him without mentioning that he's homosexual, which is why, in my opinion, he got rid of him. If Mustafa Ali had joined around about that time, he'd be already wearing a fucking turban and doing Durka shit for most of the fucking time he was in Vince's tenure. In a way, it was a good thing that he kind of came in when he did, because you didn't have to be stereotyped by your culture, which is what only Vince knows.
Yeah, like Muhammad Hassan,
Unfortunately,
who was Canadian anyway.
Yeah.
Italian.
Italian and Canadian,
Yeah.
as well. And like Daviri, by the way, Daviri, he can't go back to Iran now because because they've been using him for heel angles to mock Iran for the Saudis, and so he's not allowed back into Iran either. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like Daviri, like he's a backstage worker now. Like he's been, he's one of the producers. And God damn it, like Vince,
Again,
man, like this guy.
I mean,
Yeah.
Vince is kind of fucked up when it comes to race. I mean, I don't know if you guys recall Tiger Ali Singh.
Yep.
Yes.
I remember Tiger Ali Singh.
And he took issue with the fact that Vince McMahon wanted to make him wear a turban in a traditional Indian garb, and he told him, "Look, this is offensive and to Indian people. It's desecration." And Vince apparently replied to him, "You and D'Lo are going to put on those fucking turbans. I don't care."
Yep. And he said, "Fuck that. I'm out."
He's never cared about anything. Like after 9/11, he couldn't wait to fucking get wrestling shows back on and then cash in on 9/11 itself, as well, which is what he fucking did.
And then,
I heard that from several wrestlers, regarding that. Get back in Jamal Khashoggi.
the one I remember the most. The one I remember the most that he fucked up on was when Dan the Beast Severn at Royal Rumble '99. He was gonna have Dan the Beast Severn like paint 666 on his forehead, and Dan the Beast Severn told him, "Yeah, dude, I ain't doing that shit. I'm out of here."
Yeah.
And he got his walking papers, like I think that night, and said, "Fuck it, I'm out."
The lack of respect for people.
The 9/11 episode, I think probably the worst aspect of that was when they aired. It was a
Stephanie McMahon's pre-tape.
They aired a pre-tape from Stephanie McMahon where she compared 9/11 to the fucking steroid trial.
Yeah.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, she said that.
Yeah.
She was like, a few years ago, some people tried to take down my father, and now it's like the WWF is going to be stronger than ever or some such shit. And we as a people are going to be stronger together. It's like, bitch, you basically went after the United States government, and then you compared it to terrorists attacking America.
Those aren't comparable events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that correlate? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
exactly.
Fucking. Fun little trip down memory lane there. Yeah. Okay. What else have we got here? So we're sticking with the film and TV stuff. There's not much to kind of cover. Just that The Flash has flopped at the box office.
It tanked. It bombed. It failed. It went boom.
Yeah.
Well, I made a video regarding my reasons on that,
it
and
was
you
a
can
good
see that
video.
on our channel. I did forget to mention the fact that Henry Cavill was known to be in, and he was out as Superman. When you hear those rumors that he was supposed to be in it and he's not going to be in it and stuff like that, it's going to piss people off as well.
Yep.
They want to see. You can't say that you had Superman in the film and then you cut Superman. What the fuck's wrong with you? You don't cut Superman. If everyone knows that this is the end of the current DCEU slate, then fine, but keep Superman in it. It's not like with the Snyder Cut. We know we were never going to get any Dark Side or shit like that because Justice League flopped, unfortunately, and Snyder had his issues regarding his daughter. So we only went so far, but at least we saw what could have been if the film, if everything went the way it should have been. So just give fans what they want. Give us a bit more Henry Cavill. We're not going to get any more of him once this thing reboots. So just give us as much of it as we can. But no, they didn't. So people say, fuck you then. We're not going to go watch the film. We're not going to watch the film for various reasons.
But they're cutting
Yeah,
out the
so-
Flash film out of petty vindictiveness against Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep.
As well. Which
Yeah,
was just like, well, okay, you just shot yourselves in the foot there. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, Black
I
Adam was
also
a good
think-
fucking movie.
Yeah.
Well, I guess look, I'm just kind of surprised that of all the most recent DCU films, I genuinely thought this one was going to make bank. I really
Yeah.
did.
Yep.
You know
you
what I
would
mean?
think.
I was kind of
When I
surprised.
watched it, I knew why it wasn't going to, which is that it's a multiverse movie, and you just had what 4 of them. One of them wasn't the Oscars. One of them was easily one of the best films I've seen in the last 5 years, and it can't compete with that. It's just there. It's just a film. There are good
Yeah.
aspects to it. Don't get there. It's just there.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. Unfortunately, is not
ultimately,
going
we
to appeal
know-
to
but
mainstream
ultimately-
audiences.
Ultimately, we know what fucked this up. Ezra Miller being a fucking idiot, and
Possible.
that
I-
yeah, that
There
pretty
was-
much is
yeah,
what.
there were so
sealed his
many
fate.
factors. Ezra Miller
Yeah.
being one, kicking Henry Cavill, cutting Henry Cavill, I think played one of the bigger factors.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the audience
I-
that are
I-
watching comic book films now, they don't fucking know Michael Keaton's Batman as well. So that's a selling point for us old fucks. But for younger people, they're like,
Well, the-
if you'd have put
well, they
Christian
couldn't market
Bale
the
in this
movie.
film, it might have done a bit better.
Wasn't there
No, but
supposed
you
to be a
couldn't market the
project of Keaton reprising Batman for another?
Yeah,
Yes.
they
Yeah,
were
for
not
Batman
doing Batman
Beyond.
Beyond. And
Yeah.
they scrapped
but
it.
they couldn't market
No,
the movie.
no,
How
no,
often?
I
How,
think what you're thinking of is Batgirl. You're thinking of Batgirl.
oh, you might have
That-
been in
He's
that
supposed to
too.
be
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah,
He was
yeah, he was
being
in
that
that as
girl
well,
too.
yeah.
Yep.
But the thing is, like, how often do you see on YouTube videos when they're promoting, like, when certain films come out, you see all these actors who are in those movies, like, playing stupid games, giving stupid interviews, all of that.
Yeah,
sort
they
of stuff.
didn't even do that.
They couldn't do that because Ezra
Yep.
Miller's a fucking nonce.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that was one of the major issues. You know, when your main star can't promote the fucking film that you're promoting, and then you need to get people like Tom Cruise to say it's good and Steven Spielberg to say it's fucking good.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't use Ezra Miller because he's a fucking nutcase. You know, and then
Yeah.
also, like, you already had Spider-Verse, you've already had Guardians 3. People can't afford to keep watching these fucking movies. You know, it was too much. And then the recent DCU slate has been quite underwhelming recently as well. So why would people want to see this? With the end of the DCEU as well, why would people want to see this? There were so many factors.
Yeah.
You know, like Shazam 2 didn't do well.
Yeah.
It was not surprising that this was not going to do well to a degree. Yeah, you know, even though I
But
thought this
it
would
looked
do well, but
awful. Like, I haven't even
'cause-
watched it, and I refuse to watch that fucking film.
I still have to watch it. By the way, I haven't seen
It
it. either.
I'm
mainly-
not gonna bother.
It's
I
mainly
haven't
because
watched it
DC.
either.
It's mainly because DC is all over the fucking place to start with. It's because it's like they can't figure out where the fuck they're going. Like, what's their goal supposed to be?
Yeah, Walter
the
Hamada was
DCEU.
fucking worse than the previous
Yeah.
prick that ran the that produced the bloody stuff. Like they were all over the place. Aquaman is not going to make money.
No.
Blue Beetle, I doubt it's going to make money. Look, fucking generic as hell. And I think people do now. They're just like there's a mixture of fatigue and also just knowing from the trailers exactly what they're going to get in the film.
Yep.
And if it doesn't stand out, if it's not unique like Spider-Verse and all this kind of stuff, then they're just not going to bother. And they'll just be like, well, look what's
I bet
happened
you
here.
Blue Beetle will-
Yeah.
Fast and
And to-
Furious 10, for example, it got to 600 million at the box office. That's it. It didn't make any more than that. And within a few weeks, they released it on fucking streaming.
Yeah, that's because it's like you know what you're going to get with those movies. After like the fourth one, you're like, oh, okay, we get it now.
Yeah, and
know
Guardians of
what
the
it is.
Galaxy on July the 7th is coming to Disney Plus or being released on digital
God, already?
already. So people just like,
Yes.
well, what's the fucking point of going to the cinema when I could just
Yeah, you can
watch
wait
it at
a
home?
couple months. Yeah,
And
there's no
save us-
point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
big names require big money. Sorry, I got this. Big names require big money, and studios want that big return box office number.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
You might get it with
You
some
know-
stuff, but you're not going to get it with everything.
I want Blue Beetle to do well. And
Yeah,
It's
I-
not big.
I
Come on,
like-
if you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what you're getting. It's so fucking by the numbers.
Yep.
You know,
I hope
which is
I'm gonna watch it regardless, but I hope it's
Me
good.
too.
I mean,
me too,
yeah.
because I like the actor that's playing him. You know,
Yeah.
I like him from the
I
Cobra
love
Kai
him
stuff.
as a character.
Yeah.
Now, just as we're still talking about films, look, you know, I'm kind of gutted that nearly everybody who's watched Indiana Jones 5 has said it's shit.
Yeah,
Now, that's not gonna.
No.
It's-
Chris Stuckman said it was
it's
okay.
not gonna do well because I'm telling you now, it's just one of those movies where it was like it started off good with the hype, and then people are just like, eh.
It bugged me a bit because a lot of people were saying it got the same sort of similar response to The Flash, where a lot of people were saying this was good, but now actual reviewers are getting their hands on it. A lot of people are saying it's shit. Now, don't get me wrong, Ginger, me and you are hopefully going to see it together, and
I'll
and
suffer
regardless,
through
it's-
it for you. As
thank
long as
you.
I can get a
In-
half
in-
price ticket.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. If you
It's-
tour in the
it's-
cinema, I
it's-
guarantee neither of you is seeing the end of that movie.
well,
Hey,
well,
we got through Wakanda Forever just about.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
what happened afterwards? They
Oh, don't say
spent
that.
hours mopping up.
But,
My tears,
yeah,
my tears, I swear.
Look, it's Indiana Jones 5. You know, it's gonna be watched, even if we know we're watching a shit film, regardless. And I'm just hoping I'm going to like it regardless of everyone hating it. If that's the case, I don't give a fuck that everyone's hating it. There's always been the odd film that I've liked that everyone hates. Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire one, is one of those films where I liked it, but everyone else seemed to fucking hate it for some reason. I thought it was a right person.
Because you just hate the fucking world, so you know.
There
Please say that's not
you
true,
go.
'cause I love that.
Okay, let's go into this
X-Men 3 I
bombshell.
liked, everyone else hates it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like
Gary, we're going on to this massive bombshell now.
That
Okay.
everybody else hates Spider-Man 3.
Yep.
Sony
No,
removes
the next
Bad
one.
Bunny Spider-Man spin-off El Muerto from calendar. Yes, I saw the
Okay.
news on that. I'm devastated.
How will I
Yeah.
sleep at night? Oh no.
No, the next one.
Yeah. Oh, the next one. Sorry, Gary. And multiple
multiple
sources
sources.
reported during production of Spider-Man Across the Universe. Yep, 100 animators quick. They said it was death by 1,000. Making that film was like death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Are you surprised? They probably had to sleep at their desk just to get the shit to work.
Yeah, there was a lot of just a lot of fucking. Well, there was a lot of months of. I've read the article just before coming on here, and they were kind of just months went by where they were just waiting for fucking Lords to kind of go through some of the renders before they then had to do the grind for the last like 11 months to kind of put all this shit together, and it was just all over the place, like which is a shame because I'm all for the artist suffering for the art, but not other people suffering for the artist's art.
Yep.
You know, you've got to do better, and you've had plenty of experience in this field. You're like a pro now, but this one was, it was a bit of it's a hard read. I can pass the article on to people who want to read it, but it's a bit damning. But it's endemic of the Hollywood crunch. You know, it's endemic of the kind of shit show that is Hollywood.
Yeah, we got a deadline. We got to get it done, and you're rushing out shit.
You know, and this is why this film took so long to make. There was just a lot of fucking about and all of that. I mean, it came out great, and they should, you know, acknowledge the kind of people that put the hard work in, not just Lord and Miller after everything. Like, I'll happily praise Lord and Miller for their visions, but the amount of people that quit because of this, it's sad to see. So hopefully they get compensated fairly for it.
Agreed.
But they jumped ship. Thankfully, they saved their sanity and jumped ship.
Yeah, get the fuck out while you can.
Very briefly, just to get into Star Trek here, the next seasons of Prodigy is in post-production, but will be sold to another streaming service. Paramount is removing from their service, which is unusual because Paramount is Star Trek. So for them not to want to show it on their streaming service, which makes no sense because it just gives more padding on their service. Makes me wonder why they're selling it to somebody else.
In a follow-up to the article I read, which was the Spider-Verse stuff, there was another article where I can't remember, some guy from like a Wells Fargo kind of fucking bank thing made a prediction that Paramount has about 2 years left before it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's either sold off or dissolves or whatever. So they're kind of running on fumes, and I'm not fucking surprised. Like that, you look at the recent record with the TV stuff. Like they've had some amazing stuff with like the Yellowstones and all this kind of stuff. But their film track record has been abysmal.
Yeah.
Like outside of Mission Impossible, all their stuff is just shit. Like they've butchered Transformers. Yeah, they've butchered G.I. Joe. They can't get anything right. It's like watching a bunch of stupid children. What's that? That's Universal.
That's Universal.
Universal has that. It has a Jurassic franchise. You know, Universal's doing all right. Like even their animation stuff is doing well. But Paramount has Mission Impossible. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, Star Trek, they're not making any films of that.
Don't get me wrong. Netflix has got when it comes to their own movies, they're really shit, but they're still able to keep their head above water. And regarding stuff like Paramount and regarding all these streaming services, it's all about the television shows anyway. And Yellowstone's been fantastic. I watched Mayor of Kingstown, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You know, it's worth watching. Only 2 seasons, but Jeremy Renner is fantastic in it.
But that's how they're not going to survive on a streaming platform. They're going to survive by selling off their stuff to other platforms to stream. That's how they're going to do it. And look, I mean, again, with TV, their stuff has been good because you're not as restricted. Whereas they have this mentality that the box office stuff has to be the same brain dead generic crap that, you know, it's easy for everyone to digest and we don't have to put any thought process. And that's why the latest Transformers film is exactly the same as all the previous fucking 6 Transformers films that have been out. There's no
I've lost track of them.
Yeah,
I've stopped watching them because they've all been the fucking same.
Awful.
You know what it is.
Yeah,
awful.
exactly.
And they're so bad that literally nobody has commented on the fact that there is a end credit scene where, you know, somebody's handed a card and it's like G.I. Joe. So there's going to be a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. But nobody gives a fuck. Why? Because they're both going to be shit. Brain dead, bland,
G.I. Joe's
crap.
shit, man. G.I. Joe is fucking shit.
It's shit.
Yeah.
Like, the films were shit. I never liked the cartoon myself either. I love the toys. The toys are, you know, top 2 favorite toys of all time.
Oh, I enjoyed the cartoon.
Like all that, but the cartoon I just found it corny as hell.
It was American propaganda to fucking love war and and shoot your guns, even though nobody ever got shot.
That's what bugged me. You know
what I mean?
We're watching all the stuff from like France and Japan where like they're not hiding all the violent kind of stuff, especially when I was in Greece. Like in the UK, a lot of the stuff, though we weren't as bad as the Americans in terms of censorship, like it's still quite censored, but I watch all this stuff in Greece and you know the cartoons were just gloriously violent, told really dark stories and all this kind of stuff. And then you have G.I. Joe, which is just like, oh, wavy gun, lasers, pew pew, nobody dies, and it's just like
G.I. Joe the movie, the character of Duke dies by Serpentor, but the powers that be didn't want that to happen, so they made him go into
come back to life.
When he looked like he was supposed to have died, he actually went into a coma.
Yeah,
and it was just ridiculous. But they don't want to, but they don't want to expose death, you know, to the kiddies who end up signing up for the U.S. military. So
exactly.
I mean, exactly.
The HBO is also HBO. I mean, Warner Brothers Discovery has already been selling off parts of its licenses to other channels.
HBO is probably going to be going down because even though they just merged with Discovery, it's like it won't last.
Yeah, I mean, they bought these fucking platforms, but they were hemorrhaging money before Discovery bought them. Anyway,
I feel so for Warner Brothers at the moment. They've definitely been stock because the stuff they're promoting is been tanking so bad. I don't know the last time they had to make a hit.
But, you know, Discovery inherited a mess, a huge fucking mess. And now the only way to kind of make it sustainable is just to license it out to other platforms. I mean, they're already doing that with some of their Batman stuff on Amazon. Where we have like Bruce Timm's. Is it Bruce Timm? Yeah, the artist and animation legend that did the animated Batman, the animated series. His show is going to be budget. Fuck's sake! It's going to be on Amazon. It's going to be produced by Amazon. So expect to be seeing their kind of stuff all over the place, which is better anyway. You know what I mean? Because you can get a different flavor of things rather than just the bland generic fucking Warner Brothers crap that we've had with like fucking Titans and Gotham Knights and all the CW stuff and all this kind of shit. It's different studios bringing in a different flavor. Sony with Amazon, a lot of their Spider-Man stuff is licensed out to them as well, which is a good thing because it segues onto Craven, which if we saw the trailer for that, and my fucking god, have they butchered that bloody character?
Yep.
Generic. It's funny, R-rated, but it's still generic. R-rated, but generic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid.
It's like they never read the
How
comics.
dare you, sir?
They definitely didn't read the comics. They definitely didn't read the comics.
Vegetarian. Craven the Hunter, the vegetarian.
Say,
what the hell?
Russell Crowe is his best Russian accent.
Say that again, guys.
I said Russell Crowe did his best Russian accent.
His best Russian, Greek accent, Italian.
No, look,
I'll try to replicate it. I am good to take you down.
No, but Craven. This is like that student interference This is that wreaking of student interference again because Craven the Hunter is Russian, but they don't want a Russian to be the protagonist.
So just 1 second, William. Sorry, the rest of the agenda is well, we've done the wrestling. It's just gaming after this. So if you want to jump off, it's up to you, dude.
Oh look, here we go. We've got the Ned Flanders of fucking.
All right, Team America's here.
Hey, I heard that Prodigy got canceled. So
no, it's not canceled. It's been moved to a different service.
Yeah, well,
there will be season. There's still be season 2. Yeah, but it won't be on Paramount Plus for some bizarre reason.
God damn
but
it.
Nevertheless,
I was hoping it'd be gone.
So we'll have to still watch another 20 episodes. That's 20 weeks of that.
No.
We'll have to watch religiously for the rest of your life.
So
help you go. Yeah, so.
Hey, y'all getting to gaming anytime soon? Or
I mean, for real, man. Come on. Like, can we move now to gaming?
Oh, yeah, okay. Gaming. Fucking hell. Sorry, boys.
Right,
yes,
I've been watching for 2 hours. Like,
you can jump in whenever you want. Listen, there's no structure here. We can bump and dump around wherever you want. Sorry.
Oh, no, you guys were pretty into it earlier.
Final fuckery.
In the middle of that. Man. You guys were into it earlier. I was not jumping in the middle of that.
Yeah, no. Sorry. Jose, take the reins, dude.
All right, AEW. The AEW video game. Have you guys seen the gameplay? Because I put it in the fucking contributors chat.
Yes, I did. Yes.
You want me to show it? Am I allowed to show it?
I don't know if I don't think we should, but I'm gonna just say this. Graphically, I know people are gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, why is the graphics not the best?" It's like this is not what Ukes is going for. They're going for fun. It looks fun as fuck. I like the fact that they've got like a barbed wire death match. I like the fact that you could do like crazy hardcore shit. There's thumbtacks. When they bleed, they fucking bleed all over the canvas. It is crazy. It is going to be fun. I definitely recommend looking at the AEW game.
Look, when I first saw the game come out, I was like, "Oh my god, this looks ridiculous." Then I saw the gameplay. I was just like, "Oh, it looks fun." Mm-hmm. You can run somebody over with a fucking skateboard, and you can throw a petrol bomb in a ring that explodes. I'm sold. What more do you want?
Yeah, like, it's crazy. It's outlandish. It's stupid.
Yeah,
and it's fun.
It takes you back to the PS1 era. Yeah, it takes you back to the PS1 era where you could just do outlandishly crazy shit. Like I'm so fucking sick.
I cannot wait.
Trying to be
it's like one of them arcade games or something.
Yeah. It just looks like a classic arcade. A lot of silly fun, and I think that's what's going to sell this game in the end.
Oh yeah,
I think it's going to be a slow burn, and as more and more people play it, as long as it's not a broken mess, then the more and more people play it, the more and more traction it's going to get because the clips that are going to come out, they're going to go viral, and all this kind of shit. Like that's what made me watch it. It's like there was a clip of someone as John Moxley running somebody else over and smacking them in the face with the skateboard whilst they're on the skateboard. So they jump in the air and do a fucking like. Whatever you call it, like a spin, and they smack him with a skateboard. I was like, I'm in.
For me, it was the fact that For me, it's the fact that you could destroy the set. You could destroy the fucking Titantron, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. You could suplex the motherfucker through the Titantron.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what it should be about. Like, not generic. Go on, Zam.
I'm just saying, I just want this game not to be a yearly release.
Yes.
Like all the other things. And just what they need to do is they need to tweak and whatever they need to do with this particular game. And then, within 3 or 4 years, develop a sequel to this game, which is worthy of being an actual sequel with additional bits and bobs that will improve the enhancement of that game. But just don't make this a yearly release because
it's gonna kill. It's gonna kill it off quick. But like, all they have to do to make the perfect wrestling game, give me the Here Comes the Pain engine, and I'm done. I'm like, that's it.
I mean,
everyone loves that game.
Yeah,
it's great. It's one of the best wrestling games ever made, if not the best.
Yep.
Block.
I mean,
you want to say anything?
Since we've got the No Mercy WrestleMania 2000 route with the kind of like the build up to special meter.
Yep, and I like that they did that.
I like that. I like the old classic build up. Yep, I'm all in on that.
Yep.
Block. Did you want to have anything to add?
No, you got to create a wrestler, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's not as.
Then I'm good.
Yeah, it's not as big as say the other wrestling games, but you know what? That's okay. Although I love the creator wrestler,
I don't need to customize their shoelaces or anything.
I'm all for it and all this kind of stuff. Like I love all that, but as a game, just get it out there. Just get the gameplay right. Like all these wrestling games, they just I can't stand what the fucking WWE games became. They're just so fucking bland and realistic.
I picked up 2K23 and I played it for about a month and then I was done. I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm going back to Fire Pro, which if anybody loves Fire Pro, get that game. I'm telling you, on PS4, get Fire Pro Wrestling. It's the shit.
I have it.
But that's also another point that I want to make as well. That pisses me off with gamers. Is like, I keep saying somebody needs to just bring out a fucking wrestling game that is a throwback to the old era, like the PS1 era, the PS2 era, the GameCube era, those kind of wrestling games that were just fast-paced, fun, crazy, all over the place. None of this working the body, all this kind of slow kind of shit and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then like, but you've got to get licenses and all this. I'm like, you don't need to license wrestlers to sell a wrestling game. That's ridiculous. Fire Pro Wrestling proves that point. That game has sold a fuckload of copies, and there's no license. You can create the characters within there, and that's all you need to do. Have a fantastic creator wrestler thing where you can build your roster how you want to build it, and just if the gameplay's good, people will buy it. And I'm hoping that AEW does what I've wanted, where it's just the gameplay is great and the roster is like.
Yeah, I think we're going to be leading off next week with the review of the AEW game because it'll be out by this time in 1 week.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to be here for that to talk about.
Nice. I'll be getting
the number one thing about
on
when
the
you create
team.
a video game.
Yeah, on Block.
Oh. Yep. The number one thing I think of when creating any video game, not just a wrestling game, is that the people that are creating it are like into it. They're passionate. They're behind it. Like, look at that recent TMNT game, Shredder's Revenge. You could tell they were really into it. They knew what they were doing. So if there's a passionate team creating a video game, more than likely the game will be good. So
can I just say I actually just purchased Shredder's Revenge for $15. It was on sale.
Nice.
Like I just picked it up and I played the hell out of that game for the past couple days. Like
right
before Final Fantasy 16 came out, I beat that game a couple times. I got Leonardo and Donatello to level 10 or whatever. Like I played the crap out of that game.
Sweet.
They got DLC coming out sometime.
I know
they
Yojimbo and some new levels. I was like, yes.
Okay, sweet. So it'll be an extension. Dope.
Oh yeah. Love that game.
Because I basically look at that one as the successor to Turtles in Time, which is exactly what they did. They made it Turtles in Time. Yep.
And that's all you want. Like, okay, we've talked in the past about the kind of turtle games we really would love to see, but let's see if we get that with Last Ronin,
Yeah.
I I would like to just go back to the old school Turtle game I used to play in the arcades.
Yep.
You know, with the four
Shredder's
player,
Revenge.
like
That's what Shredder's Revenge
That's what
is, mate.
Shredder's Revenge. Yeah,
Oh,
Shredder's
that's what
Revenge.
it's called. I never
Yeah, you
knew
need
it
to
was
get
called
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to get that game. You
Yeah,
need to
it's
play
not
it.
right
once
now,
I get
PlayStation's
once I buy myself, eventually, would it be 2-3 years down the line when I still get myself a proper arcade machine that I can put in my house? It'll be a 4-player thing, and yeah, for sure.
No, I mean,
I'll be
no,
playing that.
Shredder's Revenge it still feels very arcade. Like no matter what you're playing it on. I mean, I played on PS5, and it still feels like an old school arcade. You know, I mean, if you really have
Shredder's
to have
Revenge
like
on
the ball
PS5?
stick in your
Yeah,
hand,
it's
and,
on PS5, dude.
Yeah,
You
mate.
need to
It's on
play
every
it.
platform.
Yeah.
I've got it on PC. I was playing it on PC.
Yeah, you've got no reason not to buy this game. It's
I can
worth
I
getting.
can play it on my fucking
Yeah, you can play on your
backbone.
click clacker,
Yep.
your backbone.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like to call it my bareback.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the wrestling game,
Well,
or I can move on to more
no.
gaming stuff?
I think we're good. I mean, I'm definitely going to be back next week to give my first impressions on it. I cannot wait. I recommend that if you love No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, it's worth trying out. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, lovely. And I'm gonna close off with Nintendo Direct happened.
That was the shiznit
Oh,
for Mario.
don't close off just yet. I think Cheetah wants to talk about Final Fuckery.
Oh,
Final Fuckery
okay.
16.
I mean, I was hoping that Mage and Josh would be here. Both of them are not available. I was talking to them privately.
Josh,
Hey,
who the hell's Josh? I have no idea who this Josh is.
Bearded.
I know I'm taking the piss.
Oh, okay. Well, you should probably do that in private. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
no, I mean, all I was going to say about the game, and I was hoping to spark discussion, is I love people out there that like hate Final Fantasy 13 for being so linear, and like this game's really good. The story's really good. The gameplay's good, but it's like the game's linear as fuck. Like it is run in a straight line, duck under objects that are in your way, and like there's barely so far. I played about 6.5 hours, and there's barely like any open world aspects to it. Like, which is not,
Yeah,
I don't hate,
good
but
point.
I just love people that are like, oh, Final Fantasy 13 is running in a straight line for 40 hours. And I'm like, well, this game is already looking like it's going to be that.
Yeah.
That's why it was made by the Devil
So
May Cry.
linear
guy,
like
because
12.
No,
His influence is definitely on it.
I
No,
mean, from the
12 is-
gameplay that I saw, I'm not into this. I'm sorry. It's too. Yeah, it's too Devil May Cry, and I don't even fucking like the Devil May Cry games.
I love
so
Devil May Cry.
I'm gonna
I
give
mean,
this
yeah,
one a pass.
no, I'm not. As I said, I'm not. The story is really good, and the voice acting is phenomenal. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they've got
like
proper voice actors rather than the generic Japanese American types.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they've got those Japanese animated faces for like
Yeah,
like
they've
British.
got Finch
British.
from The Office, who's voicing one of the characters.
mhm.
But they've got that Japanese look yet. They're fucking in like some sort of Britishy, even
Medieval
though it's
Europe.
fantasy. Yeah,
It's
it's just so weird. You know, I've always felt like the Japanese industry needed maybe a touch of non-Japanese influence within games that they make, just to add a bit of something different. But they just don't want to ever do it.
Okay, let's stick with F-16 before we. I don't want to go off on tangents. Cheeto, if you want to carry on.
No, I mean, but that's I just people who always complain about Final Fantasies that are really linear, like 12 or like 13 and 10. It's just like this game is even more linear in some aspects. So I think I'm going to get a lot of hate on that, but like from Final Fantasy people. But I mean, the story is good so far.
Well, if they don't like it, they don't buy it.
Okay, cool. Because I've got it downloaded, so I'm going to be playing that this weekend.
As I said, it's worth
As-
playing 100%. But I mean, me Bearded and Mage are talking about doing something on the side.
Nice.
Just talking about it. So, because
Is it very
we're
Final
involved
Fantasy?
you see,
Like,
that's
does
the
it give you
thing.
that vibe of old school?
It does in a Devil May Cry way, and that's as I said. It's not like a love letter that 9 was to like the old school Final Fantasies. It's not like that. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a Final Fantasy doing Devil May Cry, but we're not like trying to add like steampunk aspects, or we're not trying to add like all these other different stupid aspects to it that really don't make sense. Like 15 and 13 and even 7 did, and 8 did. Like so it was. This one just feels very, very old school setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nintendo Direct dropped their Nintendo Direct event, and apart from a few things to laugh at, which is fucking the Arkham trilogy coming to, like, why would you take pride in
Good luck.
advertising
Good luck
that?
with that running on Switch.
Yeah, fucking hell, mate. It looked awful. Like they were showcasing it. I was just like, oh, it's like PS2 graphics. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and they showcased a bunch of generic shit that nobody cares about. But I'll talk about some of the standouts. Of course, we have Mario RPG. That is making.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Cannot wait for that. I can't wait for that one to come back out because I'm like, I remember loving the original.
I never played the original. I can't wait to play.
Blasphemy.
Well, I never had I never had a Super Nintendo. I only had a Nintendo, a Genesis, and then an N64.
Yeah,
So-
Genesis, mate. That's what you needed. That was better anyway. So fuck them. But yeah, Mario RPG looks really, really good.
Mario Wonder, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll get into that one as well in a bit. But yeah, it looks really good. It's turn-based combat, but this one, you know, I love the aesthetic of the game enough to kind of be like, okay, fuck it, I'll take that on. I don't mind. Then we had a Peach game that's coming, so that's cool.
Peach.
Yeah, like a 2D, 2.5D.
Is it
game.
called Woke Rio? Is it?
yeah, they've gone woke now. Yeah,
Well, it's a Woke Rio.
it's about Peach, and she just wants to like bang other chicks and
Yeah,
all
she's
this
got
kind of
Mario
shit.
tied
And,
in
like,
the basement.
And she's all of a sudden, she's all of a sudden going to switch genders in the middle of the game.
Yeah, gonna dye my hair blue and then go up against the patriarchy.
Bowser, I've had enough of you. Bowser, I've had enough of your shit. Yeah, I said Bowser. That's right, Mario. Fuck you. I've been banging Bowser this whole time.
How do you think he's got all those kids running
Yeah,
around?
for real. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been killing my kids.
Yeah. So there's not much was shown of that, so we'll see much later. There's a Luigi Mansion remake. I think it was from the DS version.
Remake.
Getting a
Oh,
remake.
God.
No, they should have just done a 4.
Yeah, I agree. They should have just done a 4.
Like the first one,
Lazy.
like I've seen my son play the first one. It looks like, yeah, it looks like a DS age game, but it looks or not. Wait, it's on DS or is it originally was on GameCube, right?
GameCube.
Yeah, it
I
was
think?
originally on
GameCube
GameCube.
originally, yeah.
Yeah, like it that version doesn't look bad. Like what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So yeah, we're getting a remake of that. Again, like I said, like a bunch of the other stuff that they dropped was like Persona games. I don't give a fuck about all that crap. But then we got the kind of showcase, which was Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which I was like, oh fucking hell, here we go, another 2D game. But I was just like, holy shit, this thing's trippy as hell.
This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, 4-player as well.
Yep.
So just looks lovely for a 2D game. It looks really good. It's like a nice throwback to Mario. I know there was like some issues with New Super Mario that people had. I don't know which generation of console it was, but this one looked good. Yeah, trippy as hell. You can play as Daisy now as well, which is Peach's sister. Apparently, I don't fucking. Outside of Mario Kart, I don't know who these bloody characters are. But yeah, you take this flower and you basically go on an acid trip. Kind of changes the world and its dynamic, and there's a couple of stuff, but again, Nintendo very much like just they feel like a one game company a lot of the times with fucking Mario, all the Mario premises.
Yeah, I had the word cozy too.
Yeah,
but James, but what it is like, oh look, we're bringing out the Arkham trilogy. Like that shit is older than I am.
Yeah,
they're so proud and boasting about certain older titles finally coming on their console when people have already played it, been there, worn it, done the t-shirt. They need to bring out unique games and not necessarily Mario games either for the Switch.
And speaking of fucking old, Metal Gear Solid is going to be coming to Switch. Good luck getting that shit to run because I know the second and third game were on PS2. I'm like, those shits are probably not going to run. If anything, you'll get like the original NES games to run, but the other 3 games, good luck running those on Switch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're bringing out like a.
There's no way they're going to get 5 to run on Switch. I can just tell you right now.
Nah, I think it's like 1, 2. It's
Five
there's
on-
5
on
games, but
Switch.
I don't not Phantom Pain. Is not
You get
one.
1, 2, you get Metal Gear Solid 1 through 3, and then the first 2 NES games.
Yeah.
And by the way, the 3, is it going to be the remastered 3? Or
Yes.
No.
Well,
No. It's the original 3.
yeah, because
damn it.
I thought they said they were remaking the 3rd one, and they might be at some point, but
They are. Whether that one's
No,
going to
yeah,
come
3's
out on a
been remade.
Switch, I
Called-
don't
called
know. But
Delta.
they're just bringing out the original version of 3.
I would just recommend if you
Aren't they
fucking
remake, yeah.
if you fucking have a PS2 or emulator, you can fucking play the original Metal Gear games, because that's basically what you're going to be getting with this collection is basically ports of the same
Yeah.
shit you've already played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's like. What I used to be up with Nintendo is like they're very protective of their IP, but it's just like, dude, you've got to branch out a bit. You've only got like what you've got Zelda, Mario, and fucking
Donkey
Metroid.
Kong. Yeah.
No, they don't even do anything with fucking Donkey Kong. But like, what the only original IP that I know that Nintendo have created in the last 20 years is fucking Splatoon.
Yep.
Am I wrong? That's what
No.
it feels like.
No.
Like
Maybe Pick'em or whatever it's called.
Pikmin. Yeah, Pikmin's another
Pikmin's,
one.
Pikmin's Nintendo 64, so it's over 20 years.
Yep.
Star
Is
Fox.
Rabbit?
The Rabbits is Ubisoft.
Rabbids is Ubisoft.
Yes, Ubisoft.
I've always wanted more Star Fox, man. Give me more.
Yeah. Where's fucking Star
Yeah.
Fox and Peppy and Slippy and Falco?
Yeah,
Yeah, do
stop
a
giving us all
barrel
these
roll.
fucking weird Mario variations. Like seriously, honestly, that they really fucking piss me off. It's like that stubbornness that comes out of a lot of these Japanese studios is like, we're gonna do what we want to do, and what we're gonna do is mostly bland variations of the better stuff that you want sequels
And
to.
you'll love
It's
it.
just like,
And you'll love it, damn it.
and you'll eat it up
Yeah,
because you're
I mean,
dumb consumers.
I mean, Nintendo's got some access to some really good franchises. Like, for example, top of my head, King Icarus. I mean, like, Jurassic, other stuff like that. They have
Do you- Do you know the one you're never going to see?
what?
Earthbound. That will be a game that will never get fucking remade, as much
I
as
don't
people
even
have
know
been wanting.
what
it.
is that fucking game.
Earthbound, I think it was like a turn-based RPG, and people have been clamoring for it. You
Oh,
could play
well,
it.
then
You could
fuck
play it on the
There's a-
Switch, but yeah,
There's a million other bloody
Yeah, it's
turn-based
super
RPGs
weird.
that are
Yeah.
soaking up the fucking, sucking up the oxygen. So
I want
we
a
don't
Chrono
really
Trigger.
need
I want a Chrono Trigger remake, but we're never going to get that either.
that. What
Yeah.
remake?
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
Chrono Trigger. That's another
they-
one. Yeah,
But they've done sequels to that.
they've done sequels, but they've never remade them or done anything modern with the older
I'm
ones.
pretty sure there's
They
one in the works
remastered- They
for Chrono
remastered
Trigger.
Chrono Cross.
Okay,
Chrono Trigger does.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's clamoring for a Chrono Trigger remake, and I mean, I don't see it. Like, I mean, it's kind of like the Legend of Dragoon. It's like, or the Legend of Dragoon. It's like it's a cult classic, but it's like, you
don't see it coming, kind of thing.
well, I could see them doing it with all the remakes we're doing nowadays. I could see them doing it, but it's kind of like Final Fantasy IX. They're talking about a remake of 9, and I'm like, why? Like the reason why 7 needed remade was because it came out just before graphics got good. Because if you look at the difference between 7 and 8, and there's only a year between those two, we were on the cusp of like a graphic like not renaissance, but you know what I mean, like a graphical revolution between between 7
Yeah, because they were already
and-
starting to work on PS.
Yeah, because 7 they were working on while PS1 was still in development.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying, like, I mean, that's why 7 probably needed to be remade, because it was kind of like this weird middle stepchild of gaming, like JRPG gaming mechanics, So
Yeah.
I'm glad they're doing that. But it's like 9 doesn't need remade. 8 doesn't need remade. The remasters are fine. Touch up the graphics, maybe add 1, 2, or 3 things. But I mean, like you don't need to remake everything. Like I love the Legend of Dragoon, but I don't know if I don't think it needs remade. Touch it
Yeah.
up, remaster it. Don't remake it.
That's what I was hoping they were going to do with Metal Gear, and then I saw that it was going to be a port, and I was like, fuck.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd rather. I just want us as much as remakes can be. Okay, like I want more original IP. I'm getting fucking sick and tired of the remake.
I think we should get ready to. I think we should get ready to wrap because one of us is about to fall asleep.
Oh no,
I'm
He looks
full on
knackered.
marionette mode.
Yeah.
I'm full on marionette, man. My fucking head is
Don't
like
worry,
this.
man. We're coming to the end now. I was closing off with
Yeah.
the Nintendo stream and that. So yeah, we'll bring it to the end there. Thank you all for those joining me. And I'll shred a bow doubts, but I spoke to him in private messages saying, yeah, we were only going to finish
Gaming.
off with the gaming stuff, which is what we tend to do. And that is all. Thank you to all my co-hosts for joining me, and we will see you for many, many more. We might come do Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Soon. So on that note, I'll click to end the stream, Zan, so don't worry about that. And thank you to Vance in the comments.